And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello, everybody. It's your headlines here from Who's Views. Lovely to see you all. How are you? I hope you are all well. It's Sunday, the 29th of September, 2024. Goodness me. The end of September already, everybody. This year, flying by, isn't it? Absolutely flying by. Wow. We've got lots to talk to you again here on the big show for you. I can guarantee that. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us and coming into the chat. Yes, as usual here on Headlines, we've got not just our opinions, but your opinions as well. And they're always, always welcome. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We've had we've subbing in messages from people saying they've been unsubscribed from Who's Views. Nothing to do with us, obviously. It's absolutely nothing to do with us. I don't know what's going on with that, but please just make sure that you are subscribed so that you can have your say on all our shows. And for this particular one, have you heard? Well, yes. Gatwa's out and about, but is he out of control? We're going to be discussing that later on in the show. Whittaker and Tennant have also been on BBC Radio 2. Still can't understand why. They just turned up one morning, I guess. We're going to be talking about that very shortly. And John Barrowman, oh, bless him, lasted about 30 minutes in a new reality television show. That's all I'm saying on that one right now. As ever, let's find out not just what you're thinking about all of this, but what they're thinking about it. Here's Paul and Third Doctor Ian. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Here we are then, guys. As usual, though, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been getting in touch this week for us. I want to say a special thank you to Stephen Braddock, to Simon Leavesley, to Martin Brown, to Mark Jones, Stuart Busby, Problem Being, Colin Smith, and Andrea Bosman. Thank you all for getting in touch with us with your messages and your comments this week. Really, really appreciate it. And as ever, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch via that email down there. It's whosviews1@gmail.com, or you can leave comments on any of our shows, including this one. Nice and easy there. whosviews1@gmail.com. You know it by now. I know you do. Guys, it would be rather remiss of me, actually, to start the show without acknowledging the passing of one of my favorite actors ever. And I know she's got nothing to do with Doctor Who, but I don't care because she was a favorite of mine. And of course, I'm talking about the legend that was Dame Maggie Smith, who passed away on Friday. Now, this was a case, everybody, wasn't it? The nation did go into mourning here in the UK after this, didn't it, guys? This was amazing.
Yeah, I was very shocked. I mean, she was almost immortal, wasn't she, to be honest? You know?
Yeah. It's like J.K. Rowling said in a tweet, because obviously a lot of people did all the tweet things and, all the memories and what have you. And J.K. Rowling said that for some reason she expected Maggie Smith to live forever. And I did too, actually. I know exactly where J.K. Rowling was coming from there. I did too, because she's been there all our lives. Huge body of work. This was a real, when you see the thing come through you, it was a real shock. I don't know about you two.
Yeah, like I said, I was quite shocked by it. I've always thought she's a great actor, and I'm glad she's done other things other than Harry Potter, because she has been she's now famous for Harry Potter particularly, but she's done so many different things over her career.
Oh,
great friend of Kenneth Williams.
Yes.
I did lots of review with him. Fantastic films she's been in. One of my favourite films is California Suite with Michael Caine. Superb. Neil Simon. Great film. A brilliant film. Superb actor. She really is. Yeah.
I mean, I first became aware of Maggie Smith with Clash of the Titans. Oh. Yeah, where she played, I think it was Hera. There she is in the top there on this particular picture. And from that point on, she was around all the time. When I suddenly became aware of this actress, just some amazing films there. There I'm showing The First Wives Club on the bottom left, Ladies in Lavender, some other pictures there from her career. She was well known, of course, really for the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, which set her up.
Yeah.
She was in 2 Agatha Christie, classic 1970s Agatha Christie's. I mean, this is a huge body of work, absolutely incredible. It's no wonder that various generations grew up with her. You know, this is a Nanny McPhee in the bottom left there. Gosford Park, the top right, another one there. Sister Act in the 90s. Cranford, The Lady in the Van. Who could forget that? Brilliant performance from The Lady in the Van.
Superb. Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? It's just absolutely insane what she was doing there. You mentioned Kenneth Williams. There she's top left.
There's a great interview with them on Parkinson. You can maybe catch it on BBC4 on YouTube because they have a great argument about politics on the show, and it's hilarious. They're great friends, but they're at each other's throats. It's fantastic, really good.
That's why they were good friends, because they both enjoyed that sort of, you know, and he spoke very highly of her in his diaries, of course. But that there, from the top left, where Dame Maggie is with Kenneth Williams, that's the Parkinson you're talking about, because they're actually reading a Betjeman poem to Betjeman.
Yeah.
Who was there. I mean, we're now so far away from all this, we can't believe that. Actually, these people were there. They were all in the same, they were all, blows your mind, doesn't it? There she is, of course, there as well, with Dame Diana Rigg in the bottom there. And her long-standing pal and colleague, Dame Judi Dench. Wow. She also, of course, at one point had a wonderful banter with Tom Baker.
Now, I think this might be on the iPlayer if it's not on YouTube, but it's great to watch. The Millionairess is superb. You have to watch it.
Yeah.
It's better than the film version with Peter Sellers, I have to say.
Yeah. But it's safe to say as well, isn't it, that these two absolutely got on like a house on fire.
Yeah.
And Tom, in his words, adored her.
I think they may have worked at the National together, because I know that Maggie Smith played Desdemona to Olivia's Othello when he did the same thing that Tom's doing there.
Yeah, absolutely superb. I mean,
I don't know much about Maggie Smith, to be quite honest. So I've let you two have free reign here, because you're way more actory than I am. But, you know, I am aware that she's been pretty much in everything apart from the news. And then she was in the news, obviously, this week. But obviously, Harry Potter. I remember when I was a kid in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie. I just remember one line, the creme de la creme line. That's all I remember.
Creme de la creme. Magels. I mean, this is really weird.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that Parkinson thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird that Ian mentions the Prime Miss Jean Brodie there, because I first saw her, as I say, in Clash of the Titans. And then shortly after, they showed us the Prime of Miss Jean Brodie at school. Now, this shows you the education system as it was, because they probably wouldn't dare show you that now in case it offended somebody.
Yeah.
I just remember being absolutely captured by Dame Maggie and falling in love with her. I mean, just my God, because the talent was screaming out of this woman. And as Komodo is saying, some people are born to be a star. Dalek Eye is saying the Marigold Hotel was also brilliant. I love it when in one of the Marigolds, because they get two great films. I love it when she shouts at the boy for not making the tea properly and then gives him a lesson. The character does that. It's played just absolutely superb. Oh my goodness. I mean, goodness me. She was so funny in interviews. There's Peter. Yeah. And she was really good at playing comedy, as was really good in Murder by Death.
Murder by Death. That's a great film. If you've not seen that, that's superb.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, absolutely. The comic timing. And one of the interviews that has been shown recently as well, she said she got an awful lot of that from Kenneth Williams. And she just, in one of her shows, she just blatantly copied him. that I would have liked to have seen. She said, "Oh, it's terrible. It's an absolute Kenneth."
But Ian McKellen apparently is a cracking impersonation of her, and he's done it a few times on chat shows, and she gave him a row for it. Apparently,
apparently she did. Yeah.
So.
Again, one of them. They used to go to Wimbledon together and stuff like that, wasn't he? Hello to Constable Hansi as well. Nice to see you. She was great in the Agatha Christie films. Absolutely wonderful. Hera, yes, a favourite film. Absolutely. Peter Venkman was telling us here that Clash of the Titans was one of the favourite. I watched that over the weekend for her, as well as a few others. It could take a while to get through a Maggie Smith film fest. It really, really could. Stephen Braddock saying, R.I.P. Dame Maggie Smith, the Dowager, the Wizard, the Teacher, and so many more roles to mention. Lots and lots of roles from Maggie Smith. Andy's Vinyl, it's nice to see you. Maggie Smith thought she would live forever like our queen. R.I.P. Yeah. I mean, it was a real shock. I don't know why, but it really was. It was just like, bang. What? Dame Maggie had a stunning career, said John, and she worked hard for it. She was just one of those actors as well that just got it. You know, these are the dying days of the greats. and I don't say that with any irony. I mean this sincerely, as Huey Green used to say. I mean that sincerely, folks. No, this is it. Because you look at the newer actors, there's no way they can touch these, these old greats that were taught properly, and didn't come from reality television or anything like that. These are the greats. I'm so glad I lived the times I have lived to be able to see these people.
In the tributes for us on the news, there was a great quote from Richard Burton saying that she was a scene stealer. And you can see that. She does it all the time. And it's not intentional. She's just a really good actor. That's the point,
Exactly. Kirsty's saying to us, Hook with her and Robin has my heart. Absolutely. That's another one, isn't it? Just absolutely. Oh, goodness me. And what we got here, Kirsty is also saying to us that J.K. Rowling always wanted her as McGonagall through her work on the Prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
Well, apparently she claimed to have said that playing McGonagall was like playing Miss Jean Brodie in a witch's hat. She's apparently said, yeah. So.
Yeah, well, apparently, we're going to come to this in a second. Let me just say,
prepares. There you are. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I'd just like to say hello and welcome to Robbie Bonham as well. It's nice to see you, Robbie. And Marjorie. Hello, Marjorie. And I saw Maggie Smith in Room with the View, and she was fantastic. A legend, 2-time Oscar winner, and one of the UK's greatest actresses. God bless her, and my prayers are with her family. Yeah, we all echo that here as well. There's so many of you. Matthew's saying The Missionary. She was so funny.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I'd forgot about that until it came up the other day, Paul, with all the crowd. I thought, I haven't seen that for years.
And A Private Function as well. She's in that as well, isn't she? The one with the pig.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Great film. Yeah.
It just, honestly, we're not going to see the likes again of all these people, everyone. It's it's just amazing. And Julianne saying to us, Dame Maggie Smith, quality, a legend of stage and screen, and of course, television. And it I was showing some of the clips there, some of the stills, but I don't know whether she would like this, but you mentioned the Harry Potter films there. Now everybody knows I and Kirsty in the chat are huge Harry Potter fans. We love them. So she was Professor McGonagall.
Yeah.
But yes, she was quite dismissive of this. And apparently, allegedly, she said it's not actually proper acting. She did 7 of the 8 films. And she said it's not proper acting. It is just, me playing Jean Brodie in a witch's hat. Yeah. But the other role that she was quite sort of not dismissive of, but quite blasé about was the Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey, one of the amazing, huge, big characters that she every Sunday night for 7 seasons and then 2 movies. This wonderful written piece and beautifully played role. No one else but Dame Maggie Smith could play the Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey. She brought the humanity of this very stern woman, out there. And again, it showed her talent. She could deliver a line beautifully, and we all know that if you watch Downton Abbey, we all know that the Dowager would put you down very, very quickly or bring you up to a limit because she was the boss.
Well, she doesn't even need a line, JT. Just a look is enough. So that's all she needs.
She was so funny. Yeah. She was absolutely so fun, and she got the comic timing in that beautifully. And it's just amazing, really. But she was quite sort of like, when Graham Norton said to her, have you actually seen it? And she just, this was at the end of the 7th season when they finished, and she went, I've got the box set. Absolutely brilliant. But the 2 biggest roles that she's known for now, for with certain generations who haven't seen things like Jean Brodie or the Agatha Christie's, I am hoping that the TV companies this Christmas treat us with the reruns of the Agatha Christie films, Miss Jean Brodie, and give us some decent Maggie Smith seasons because, she deserves it, doesn't she? She
got plenty to choose from, definitely, yeah.
They really would. But, I know she had nothing to do with Doctor Who, but I just didn't think it would be right without us actually just paying tribute to one of the last greatest British acting talents, because we're not going to see that like again, because look who's coming up to replace them. There's not many that are going to be right up there with all that history. So at this particular time, to Dame Maggie Smith's family, her 2 sons and their children, who of course have just lost their beloved grandmother, let's all send our thoughts, our love, and our prayers, and wish her bon voyage. And thank you for being absolutely bloody brilliant, which is a quote from the Harry Potter films to her character. What a star.
God bless you.
Dame Maggie Smith, who's passed away this weekend. God love her. Right then, everybody, you're watching Who's Views. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us. Let's crack on right now. And we're going to give you a update, if we may, on that spin-off, everybody, that we're all so excited about.
So what spin-off's that?
I think it's called The War Between the Skirting Board and the Carpet.
That's near enough. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, it came to my attention, everybody. Now, remember last week on the show, I was saying, with all that money, why are they filming in Wales? Do you remember? No, no, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody that lives in Wales. No, we love it. Yeah, we do love it. But I just thought, with all that money, why are they filming on a beach in Wales? I may have spoken too soon. Check this out. Yes, I was meandering through the internet the other day, as I do for all you Who viewers out there, to fill up these hours in headlines, and I found this. Now, this is from the Majorca Daily Bulletin, Majorca, and it says Doctor Who spin-off to be filmed in Mallorca. Certain characters from Doctor Who will be in the mini-series. Da, da, da! Aren't you excited about this?
I hope the Sea Devils aren't there. Remember the Suntans in Spain? It'll be very, very hot for them. A lot of rubber costume, So.
Well, this is incredible because look at where they could be going to, everybody. Look at this.
That looks very nice. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
It's too blue a sea, though, surely, for getting some poor old actors coming up out of that going. It's gorgeous, isn't it? But anyway, this is what the article said. Filming for The War Between the Land and the Sea, the Doctor Who spin-off series will include location work in Mallorca with the involvement of Palma Pictures. Filming will take place during October. Exact locations are as yet unknown. Now, the article was a little bit bigger than that, but we know all the other stuff that they were talking about, the actors and who's behind it and all the usual quotes. We've covered it all, so I thought that's it. And then I looked it up and just thought, right, pick me, I'll be an extra, let me go.
You've changed your tune, yes.
I know, yeah. Like many actors, do anything for a gig abroad. But isn't that amazing? So I might have just after last week saying, well, they're always filming in Cardiff. What do you think of that one then, guys?
Well, are you up for playing a Sea Devil, are you?
No, not if it involves the water. No.
Back end of the Merca, maybe.
The Merca. Well, you can be the front end, I'll be the back end. How about that? That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah.
Cool. Could you imagine that? Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. It's nice to see you. You've got lots and lots of here. Frank Spencer's joining us now as well, saying evening all. I was watching you on the telly the other night, Frank. That was a joy. I'd forgotten what it was like, actually. I laughed.
I was watching that as well, and I noticed in the credits that action done by Havoc.
Yes,
which is interesting.
Action done by
I know he
Havoc.
did all his own stunts, but obviously they planned it all, but they were doing the action, yeah.
It's nice to see they got more than one gig.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
That's what I thought as well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we go. Paul Roughton, you are very naughty. I can't read that, but there you go. And you may think that, but I couldn't possibly comment. Marjorie is saying to us here, the spin-off can go F off to the Bermuda Triangle, never be heard from again. Okay. Very nice, says Digby. I wonder how much money will be spent on the script. Richard Ashton. Hi, Rich. How are you? Nice to see you. Hope all the models are going well. More Money Wasted on another spin-off that will be cancelled after the first season.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It's massively only 5 episodes, though. That's enough.
Yeah.
One's probably one too many, to be honest, but yeah.
And what were you saying, Ian?
Lovely iconic spaceship on his icon. Those Eagle transporters are
for those. Yeah.
Legendary.
For those that are listeners, Ian's just said yes. Richard's avatar are the Eagles from Space 1999. Hugh Janus, hello mate, how are you? Now I'm going to have to play the devil's advocate here, Hugh, who's saying to us another free holiday courtesy of the license payer. It's not. Let's not forget Doctor Who is now an independent production, and the money for this has come from Bad Wolf, BBC Studios, and Disney.
They're not doing like they did in the Two Doctors, are they? They're not just lying in the pool.
As far as I'm aware, the license fee contribution hasn't necessarily gone into the spin-off, but into the 2 series of Doctor Who. So there we go. So I'll just throw that in there as a bit of balance, because I don't think it's anything to do this one with the license fee payer. I don't think Doctor Who is anymore. They don't care anymore, do they? And Matt Borrows is saying the spin-off could be filmed on Mars and still no one is going to watch it.
It'd have more atmosphere, wouldn't it?
It certainly would, yeah.
Michael Q's here was saying 1p for the new spin-off. Yeah. And Class Volume 2.0, the spin-off that no one wanted, says poor well, we certainly didn't ask for it, did we?
Yeah.
I honestly still think, Paul, it was because they just went into the storerooms when they moved everything to Bad Wolf Studios. Oh, look at those lovely Sea Devil costumes. We'll put those on.
I bet that's exactly what they did, yeah. That'll save us a few quid. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Julianne Goodwin is saying it's a free holiday for the producers.
Where did they go? Did they go abroad for that Whittaker one, Paul, with the all about pollution and all that rubbish?
I don't know, actually, Ian. I'm not really. I think they did. Yes, I
think
they did. Yes,
yeah, they did. They went away for a few of the first ones, didn't they? They went abroad.
Yeah, I think
there is South Africa and places like that, weren't they? I think. Yeah.
It was very white, sandy, beachy with blue waters, I'm sure. But
I think the Rosa episode, Ian, was actually set. It was obviously set in the Deep South, but it was actually filmed in South Africa, I think, as I remember. Yeah,
I think you're right there.
Yeah,
but I'm sure they went abroad for that one that was all about pollution, and I
think you might be right. Yeah, I vaguely remember the sea being very similar colour to the one we just saw in the picture. Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of.
Well, it definitely wasn't Brighton, was it? Come on, let's face this.
No, it wasn't. No.
The guys in the chat will know there. Paul Richards is saying to us, why have a spin-off when the main show is in a total mess? Paul, that's exactly what I've been saying for years. You know, you've got to have a strong main show, which it isn't anymore, before you do any spin-offs. But they are so blinded by their ignorance and arrogance, they're just going to carry on as though nothing's happening, you know, head in the sand, carry on. And no, it's just ridiculous, because we all know it's going to be a bit of a flop, unless it's just some sort of multi-million viewer attracting blockbuster for adults and none of the nonsense that they throw into Doctor Who. But what's the likelihood? And now the damage is so done, who out of the public is going to tune into this? I reckon it's going to go straight to BBC and iPlayer, by the way, everybody. That's
I have a theory that probably the way that Disney goes with all their other sci-fi shows, like the Star Wars stuff they do, there's not a huge amount of alien content. So I reckon the Sea Devils, when they do appear, will appear very briefly at the start to establish this narrative of the war between the Sea Devils and the humans kind of thing, and you never see the Sea Devils again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. John Mason saying to us, I hope it lives up to the quality we expect from the BBC. I'm sure it will. Oh, yes. And Constable Hansy. It's so strange making a spin-off when the last season Devil story was panned so badly. 2 million, to which it's gone down since with the overnight ratings, hasn't it? And Lee Smith Badwood Studios got 4 million from the Welsh Government. They did. We've covered that way back. Oh, way back in this year, because we've been doing these shows weekly now for months.
Can you delete if you watch iPlayer, delete your views if you don't feel that the program was any good?
I don't even think you can give it a thumb up or whatever. I don't think they can. I think, you know, they must measure it as to how long people have been watching it for.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not going to bother them, because by then you count it as a view. So I can imagine somebody coming across Space Babies, having just watched a John Pertwee or a Tom Baker classic, and they're going to watch Space Babies with Gatwa, and then suddenly going, oh my God, switching off after 10 minutes. And it's still counting as, hey, one of the 20 million who watched it. Yeah, give us that.
I think that is what they do, though, isn't it? They will take any view on iPlayer and consider that to be a mark of success.
Of course they do. And then they market it then, Ian.
So 10 seconds is all you need.
Yeah.
I think it's less than a minute, isn't it? Can anybody remember?
Well, it was definitely in the seconds.
It was, wasn't it?
Mm.
And here's Hugh saying to me, yeah, okay, another free holiday courtesy of a different bunch of mugs. Absolutely. Matthew getting to the corner because he's saying I like Class. I watched the first two and thought it's not for me. I have to be honest, Matthew.
I thought it was okay, but it had a potential. It was good to have Capaldi in the first episode because he got more screen time at least. But it was okay. It was okay.
Okay, all right. Well, I watched the first two and then just thought this isn't for me and went on, had a life. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, though, Matt. Customer Hansi also saying to us, I've still not watched a single scene from the last series. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have not missed a thing. So do not worry about it. To get more entertainment, go back and watch our review shows of all of those 8 things. We actually did 9 because we did a season overview at the end of it. Go have a look at those to see what it was all about. We'll tell you point blank, honest truth in those shows.
We suffered, so they didn't have to.
Yeah,
Awful, absolutely awful. Hi, Alex. With poor ratings, why do a spin-off? A spin-off is a waste of time because they're arrogant.
Well, they thought they'd get 25 million on the first viewing, didn't they? So
yeah, honestly, they're going to be in for a rude awakening more so next year, aren't they? Bring on 2025 below the 1 million overnights. It's got to get there. I'm going to win a prize. That Who's Views pencil is mine. Oh, I've got a box of them over there. Anyway, yeah. Pete is also saying to a spin-off, the Sea Devils in Blackpool eating candy floss, playing fruit machines. That's a much better idea.
Yeah, like the Carry On Sea Devils, kind of thing. Like,
that would be quite funny.
Yeah. Do you remember that picture that is available of the Blackpool exhibition where it's got all the spiders crossing from Metabeda through?
Yeah.
You could do a story about that and it'd be more
all the monsters on holiday sounds superb.
Yeah, it's true. Stephen Braddock saying there's a line in Space 19. Is that supposed to be 1999? Yeah, I think so. Now we're sitting on the biggest bomb in history. I think this is very apt for this spin-off. Well, the spin-off's in production now. Series 2 is done in the can. They might have 2 for 2025. Might they? Might have 2 bombs, Steve. Who knows? And hello to Kev Gresham is joining us saying, how can you do a spin-off if a failing show? I have just watched Jurassic 6. Amazing cast. Funny, touching, and so entertaining. I've heard they're doing a 7th. I don't know what that is. Do you guys know what that is?
No. Jurassic's got... I watched the first episode last night, strangely, because I'd heard so much about it. And it's got Joe Gilgun in it, who played an Irish vampire called Cassidy in the series Preacher. And I thought he was brilliant in that. And I could see Joe Gilgun being a doctor in the same way I could see the guy that did Lucifer, that appeared in the final episodes of he was the doctor that Martha Jones copped off with. Tom Ellis.
Tom Ellis, is it?
He would be a brilliant master. He's just got that right level of menace. I'd love to see
big now, Tom Ellis, though, isn't he? Because he did that devil thing, didn't he?
Yeah, Lucifer. But I don't know. I think I'd love to see the two of them do that. It'd be so much better than the horse crap we're served up now. Definitely.
The problem is, as well, it's not necessarily the actors as well. It's the people who are producing and writing the scripts, and they're all. It doesn't matter who's going to actually take any lead now. Even if they're a really good actor, they're going to have to actually do what they're told by their producer, their executive producers, and their director. And if they're all on board with that, I mean, you just know that you can't get through particular casting directors.
Yeah.
When they've bent the knee to the ideology, you're not going to get anywhere with them. So what do you have to do? You go along with it because you need to pay the rent, don't you? It's awful. It's so poisonous, the whole thing. Richard Brooks is saying a spin-off concerning the original sentient beings on this planet will be problematic. The Sea Devils are not monsters. They are Terrans. Here. Absolutely here. And we've covered that recently in our Worlds Below season, where we looked at the Silurians and the Sea Devils, absolutely. And we've got Matt532 saying that TARDIS Monument episode was in a desert somewhere. Okay, the guys will know what you're talking about there. I don't, obviously.
Yeah. The what was it called again?
Ghost Monument.
Ghost Monument. Yeah. That was the most boring episode ever.
Out of a series of boring elements. Yeah. Oh
until
gosh.
The week after.
Yeah, until the week after, and then till the week after. RTD blocked my cousin on Instagram for just saying that Davros isn't in a wheelchair, but a life support capsule. Well, of course he did, because he's not going to, your cousin's not going to agree with his mighty opinion. Of course he's going to block him. This is what I mean about if you don't agree with them, you won't even get a job now. You have to agree with them. You have to agree with their dictates. Ridiculous. Hi, Adrian. Nice to see you. Who's saying evening, everybody. Nice to see you. Welcome. What else we got here? Lots of you joining us this evening, so it's great to see you. Richard is also saying to us, at least it will not cost as much as the Acolyte. Well, that's true, because they budgeted it a while ago, didn't it? But there you are. And hello to Neville, who's saying it's a pity. They must have expected the main show to do much better and for them to be onto a winner. Well, we all think so, don't we, Paul?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. God, yeah. Like I said, they expected it to be at least realistically about 10 million, you know?
Yeah.
But
I think that's what they were after. I remember hearing that somewhere in the past.
They believe everybody agrees with them on their ideology, and the thing they can't cope with is that the majority of people don't.
Yeah, and they don't like it, do they? And they think now they're all high and mighty because they've got a government that has bent the knee to them, although behind the scenes, I'm hearing they haven't. Michael Q is saying, JT, I do want a spin-off about the Master. What did he was doing without the Doctor? Or what he was doing without the Doctor messing up his plans? Well, he's probably just sitting in a black room going, plot.
well, there is a rumour he's meant to be in the spin-off, isn't there? So there we are. Yeah.
We covered that last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
However, I'm going to talk very quickly about that, seeing as you brought that up there, because there are a couple of rumours going around at the moment. Let me get my details here for you. So RTD has come back this week saying that the rumours about your man there, what's he called?
Russell Tovey.
Thank you. Are not true, and he's playing an original character. And then the other rumor, just to put you all at ease about that. Now, this week there's been a lot of speculation about these missing BBC items that have been recovered of missing episodes. So, of course, as Doctor Who fans, I'm the only one that didn't go, how exciting!
I started that. I'm just saying.
But rumor-wise, there's been another thing this week where they've been going on about, I wonder if there's any Doctor Who in these cans. Now, a Facebook page called Film is Fabulous, who have been publicising this or involved with this, have come out just today to say, please note that none of the missing BBC items we've recovered and returned recently are episodes of Doctor Who. If we find any missing episodes of Doctor Who, they'll go through the above process, which is the process of what they have to do when you find a missing film. And rest assured, everyone will be told very quickly. So let's put that rumour to bed right now. So there's two rumours that we can debunk, everybody. There you go.
What's interesting on all their sites, Doctor Who fans constantly say, have you found any Doctor Who? And they say every time they announce a discovery, which is hilarious but irritating at the same time.
Yeah. So there we go. We've just debunked all that. It's not Doctor Who in the film archives there, and Russell Tovey is playing a brand new character according to RTD in this Sea Devil spin-off.
An original character, surely not.
Do we believe him? Because he
does lie, doesn't he? Yeah.
Full of crap, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't care.
No.
I really don't care. We will be reviewing it when the episodes show, wherever and whenever they're going to be showing them. We stay with us on the channel. Make sure you subscribe. We are going to be reviewing it, but I just don't care. I really don't care who he's playing, and I don't care about the spin-off.
The thing I care about the fact is if they're going to do the same thing they did to Sutek with the Master and just crap all over the Master, that's what I'm not keen on. You know?
Well, they've already done that.
They could have, I know, but even
they
more
turned him into a woman. That was the first big mistake. You know, ridiculous. Yeah, and then they've had all that hammy stuff about the Master as well. You know, oh, don't get me started on where they've gone wrong in this modern era, because the list is as long as my arm, I can tell you. Matt 532, the spin-offs need a lead character for it to work, like Jack in Torchwood or Sarah Jane in Her Adventures. Class didn't work for me. Okay, yeah, I mean, it looks like the lead characters. It looks like more of an ensemble piece. This one again. Yeah. Which I reckon means there's like he set up Torchwood, similar premise to that, with the view to it carrying on. We'll see, won't we, everybody? We will see. Richard is saying to us here, Richard Brooks is saying, I will be watching season 2 of Doctor Who. No.
I wish I wasn't.
Matthew Burrows is saying to us, I actually think that Gatwa's first season is worse than Jodie's first. Yeah, it's like that came out on our shows, didn't it, Matt? A couple of the panel that were with me through the shows, including these two here, who had watched the Whittaker era, were more or less saying at least the Whittaker era was sort of vaguely resembling Doctor Who, whereas this new nonsense we've got is nothing like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, isn't it? Kirsty says she's still having therapy from the summer caca we had. Yeah. Lee Smith is saying, should give free medals with every Gatwa Doctor Who box set. You mean somebody's bought it?
Yeah.
You don't have to make
you should get your money back if you buy it. That'd be good. How about that? Yeah.
It's terrible, isn't it? Absolutely Absolutely awful. But let's have a look. Yes, you've got an awful lot there. Richard is just reminding us also, just watch the rework Blake 7. Now, Richard Ashton there, of course, if you don't know who he is yet, he joined myself and Jodie and Bedouia on our Merchandise Paradise Blake 7 show when the BBC Studios announced that Blake 7 is on the way to the Blu-rays editions of season box sets. So Richard was on the panel there, and he's contributed to Blake 7. So very welcome back to Richard there. Yeah. So there you go.
Good video that. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching that. It was really good.
And we haven't got long to go now till Blake 7 is here on the shelves. Ooh, I'm so excited. Really, really excited. And Stephen Braddock has just diverged about, have the team heard that the Box of Delights is being released for the 40th anniversary remaster? Yes, we have, and we are very excited. Get the Box of Delights. If you haven't already got it on Blu-ray, on DVD rather, get the Blu-ray 40th. I can't believe it's 40 years.
I know, scary.
It is, isn't it? It's
hopefully there'll be lots of interviews with Patrick Troughton. All of that'd be lovely. Yeah,
I think he did do a couple, didn't he, on the BBC for
Blue Peter particularly.
Blue Peter. Blue Peter, and I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did one other. It might have been A Breakfast Time or something like that. I might be getting it all confused. It's a long time ago, but yeah, I'm really excited about that too, Stephen. And Christmas must watch in this house here at JT Towers. I can assure you. What else we got coming over from you? Frank is agreeing with you, Ian. Tom Ellis would be superb.
Yeah.
And Lex Kane is saying the actor played Endeavour. He would be a good Doctor Who. What do you think? Who was that? What was his name? I know who you mean.
Endeavour's the prequel to Morse, isn't it? I can't remember the
actor's
name.
Yeah. And I can't remember his name. He's gone into directing now as well. Yeah, he would be quite an interesting choice, but probably never, ever, ever going to get the chance, is he? He's too serious now, I think. He's probably too serious. And probably doesn't have the Instagram followers that they assume will follow him to the show. Yeah, that's what we got there. Simon L is saying to us, I think the guy who played the bad Prime Minister in the last series looks and would do a better job at acting as the Doctor. Oh, that's a sore point with me. Because Aneurin Barnard, you mean there, don't you, Simon? Yeah, he was my choice for the 15th Doctor.
Well, ironically, Toby Stevens is the son of the late Maggie Smith. He was up for it apparently as well. Yeah, his dad was superb. Robert Stevens, superb actor. Yeah,
allegedly he was. Yeah, again, why are we? You know, I don't know. I'm not going down that route actually. Komodo is saying to us, "Can we release the sausages?" If you know, you know. That's been funny this week, hasn't it? Absolutely,
what an absolute Burke.
Yeah.
He was only confirming what we already knew, wasn't he? Really?
Absolutely. Not long to go now, anyway, until he's not there. After today, absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Hello to Graham. Graham's also joined us. Hello, nice to see you. And Darren Bradley's with us, my twin brother. You've got a twin brother. How cool is that? As much as a Doctor Who fan as I am, until yesterday, had no idea about the forthcoming series between the Bland and the Twee. The new series is next to zero on his radar.
Yeah.
In this day and age,
I'm just waiting for season 25. Me.
Yeah, not long to go for that as well. But it is really weird, isn't it? Absolutely. Like, in this day and age, when you've got all of us talking about it in the internet facilities and the leaks get on the internet and stuff, that some fans still don't know about that. It is quite bizarre. It takes me back to where, if this had happened when we were kids, like it did with K9, you found out through Doctor Who Monthly.
Yeah.
And then you wet yourself. That's it. Yeah. You have one place to find it, because I don't know about you guys, but I was too young to be in the Dwaz at that point. Bizarre. What we've got here as well, Side Match Strikes. Yep. Hope no returning characters because this era cannot be trusted. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. What would they do? Can you imagine?
They've done enough damage anyway, to be quite honest.
Sorry?
They've done enough damage anyway, to be honest. As the years have gone on since they brought it back, it's they've gradually whittled away at any real threat that these classic adversaries had. Even the Daleks seem to lack any threat or anything, and the Cybermen were done to death. So
I have to say, actually, I think Chibnall, and I never thought I'd say this, he handled the Daleks better than Moffat did in the 3 specials they had. Certainly 2 of them. With a bit more interesting use of them, but they have lost their presence, definitely.
Yeah.
Interesting. Kev is also saying to us, you need a lead character. If the main show doesn't have that, then how can you do a spin-off? Well, they managed with Doctor Who. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. No, I know what you're saying about that though, but you know, they managed, haven't they? Because you've got to have a lead character you actually gravitate to.
Yeah.
And as I say, with Doctor Who, they managed to do without it. Thank you to John Cartwright, who says it's Sean Evans. Of course it is, who played Endeavour. Comes from Liverpool, the same as Tom and Paul McGann. Yeah. Yeah. Of course it was Sean Evans. He'd be a good choice, actually, guys. He'd be a good choice, I think. So, yeah, but thanks for that. So there you go, everybody. That's that particular one there. Thank you all for your comments of that. Nice to see you all on that one. So that's the war between... No, it's not. It's the land between... No, it's not the war between the land and the sea. The land and the sea, and I can't watch stupid.
It just trips off your tongue, doesn't it? You know, it's very catchy, don't you think?
Absolutely ridiculous. And more ridiculous nonsense was coming from this, because look at this from the Radio Times. Jodie Whittaker reunites with David Tennant. Joke's career is a Doctor Who convention. The Doctor Who actors chatted away about their time on the show. Yes, so this was last week, and this is David Whittaker and Jodie Whittaker getting together on BBC Radio 2's breakfast show, which was that day hosted by somebody else. It seems to be revolving around at the moment.
Not Zoe Ball.
Yeah. And yet I cannot figure out why they were on this show.
I think they'll be very careful that they diss the convention circuit, because that is their pension.
Well, let's see what
people want to come and see them. Yeah. So
let's see what she said, because this is what I thought. What do you think of this, everybody? Because as I say, they were on the breakfast show here. And what do you make of this? This is what happened. Many former Doctor Who stars have insisted that the show never leaves you. But that's especially true for Jodie Whittaker, who joked her career has become a Doctor Who convention. I wonder why. The iconic actress... I'll just say that again.
Melodic, not iconic.
I mean, and the Radio Times is usually not very comedic. I mean, come on, this is funny, this one. The iconic actress, you wouldn't put her up there with Dame Maggie now, would you? Not.
That's a contradiction in terms, isn't it, really? It's like
I wouldn't put her up there with Jimmy Bloody Cranky. I mean, come on.
Come on. You can't compare the two. Jimmy Cranky was a great doctor, honestly.
And could have been in the alternative 90s.
Sooty would have been a good doctor, let's be honest. You know.
Yeah, well, we nearly had him at one point. Here we go. The iconic actress who starred as the 13th Doctor reunited with her predecessor and technically successor, David Tennant, who played the 10th and 14th Doctors on BBC Radio 2. Scott Mills, who was filling in for Zoe Ball on The Breakfast Show, pointed out Whittaker previously performed in the National Theatre's Antigone alongside the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. I've just basically created my own little Doctor Who convention in every job I do, Whittaker joked. You doctors love working together, Mills pointed out, with Whittaker adding, it was an absolute joy. I loved that, working with Chris. It was amazing. Radio Times continues. The actors also reminisced on sharing the screen together in The Power of the Doctor. Well, they didn't really, did they? Whittaker's final Doctor Who episode, which saw her Doctor regenerate into Tennant ahead of his return for the 60th anniversary specials. It was a moment, she declared. It was a very well-kept secret. Tennant added, I've still got a recording of the phone call where I phoned Jodie to tell her that she was going to regenerate into me. I can't play that at this time in the morning. What the fill in the blank, Whittaker teased. With Tennant returning to Doctor Who last year, Whittaker has often said she would jump at the chance to also return to the role on screen. Here he is with Scott Mills, the host of the breakfast show at this particular time, or on that particular day anyway. But it just struck me that here they all are together, all the lovies, you know, on the right side of history, getting together just to go, oh, look at us, aren't we big, aren't we clever? What the hell were they there for? What I don't even know. Does anybody know what they were actually on the radio to talk about?
Well, normally actors go on things to promote an upcoming show or a book or a TV show, whatever. I know that Jodie Whittaker's in The Duchess of Malfi. She's rehearsing that for theatre at the moment. So I don't know if she mentioned that or not. Who knows?
I don't know, because I obviously didn't listen to it, but I just thought the bit about the conventions, though, and as you're mentioning there, you have to be careful with this. Actually, not that her fans or his fans would actually care, because he could say something and she could say something about the fans directly to them, like "you smell," or "you're all a box," or "you all live in a box of poo," and they'd still go, "Oh, I love you, I love you."
Has he not done that already? So
Well, he has, and they're all. A lot of them are just thick because they're not listening and thinking. They're just going along with this. It's absolutely sickening. But I just don't.
Because I remember when McCoy said that about Big Finish, that was his pension, but he was being honest about it. You know, there's a difference. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
but maybe they're just desperately trying to stay relevant and say, here we are available for work. You know, sorry, we didn't mean to ruin our careers, but we did anyway. Can you still employ us? Maybe.
I just thought this was ridiculous. Here she is here saying, you know, she's borderline here, and we're taking it slightly out of context because we're only reading what the Radio Times has printed, and there's no way I was going to go back and listen to her and the way she puts it across. But I can imagine, you know, I think it's 2 short planks allegedly. But you know, it's a real case of hang on a minute, don't be slagging off the hand that feeds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I cannot watch David in anything anymore, says Matthew. I'm of the opinion that they have a shelf life. I really am. Now, let me explain what I mean by this, Who viewers. When Doctor Who came off the air in '89, a lot of us got to know more of the stars because they were out of the series and the series wasn't on. So it became, I know it's an overused term, but it became a family, because you would go to conventions, you would meet up with friends, and you got to know some of the people that were in the show. Because at that point, they weren't acting celebrity-wise, they weren't acting cool. They were just there to be representative of this show that had gone into history. And we actually had a laugh. You could sit down with any of them and have a drink. I mean, the biggest ones for those were people like John, Nick, you know, Richard Levine, Franklin, Katie would do that. She still does. Fraser would do that. Debbie Watling, she like a little drinky poo. Verity, you know, all these people that were around at Terence. We all know about Uncle Terence. He got the term Uncle Terence for a reason. Because he was there for us all, putting us right, basically. I mean, he really was. He was brilliant. So all these giants of Doctor Who, and it was so relaxed because they didn't have the pressure of production or the thing being in or keeping up with it or whatever. You know, it was in a capsule. My personal opinion now is, with the show going downhill now, I don't believe there's a longevity or interest in it. And I think at some point the bubble will burst for the likes of Eccleston, Tennant, Whittaker. I think it will. And I don't think their fans will last. I think at some point they have to grow up, whether they want to or not. And I can't see them in 20 years' time packing in conventions like Peter, Colin, Sylvester, Paul, Tom on the rare occasion. I mean, if Tom does one now, it's extremely rare. And look what happens. And because, you know, he's at that age now where we can't really expect it to him. God love him. But do you know what I'm saying?
I think it's interesting. I remember when McGann was cast as the Doctor, and he's interviewed about, I think it's on the Bidding Adieu video that he does with McCoy, if you've seen that. And he talks about the idea of going to conventions and thinking, oh my God, I couldn't do that, it'd be awful, you know, because he's not that kind of actor. But now he's there all the time and he's in costume and everything. It's superb. He's really embraced the whole thing, which is lovely. But I'm surprised that Eccleston's doing it for such a, I know he's doing it for the money, allegedly, but I'm surprised someone of his caliber, to quote Tony Hancock, is actually doing something like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, though, because, you know, Tom left the role officially in about 45 years ago now.
Wow.
And
stop that.
And he could still pack out a room today in the way that these lot never could and never will. Ever. They're just never, ever, ever going to have the clout that a guy that left the role 45 years ago did.
That's what I mean.
They just can't do it. That they don't have that indescribable it that Tom Baker does, that Pertwee did.
Can you see Gatwa packing them in 40 years' time?
What we're talking about here? Oh, yes. No.
At conventions, you know. You just
can't. In 4 years' time, let alone 40.
And it all ties down to the fact there's a minority fan base that only watches Whittaker, Tennant, Gatwa. That's it. It's a minority. And eventually they will disappear as well. And the brilliant thing about original Doctor Who is that there were millions of us around the world, millions. And it did get to that point in the 90s when it was off the air, where it was a cult. It was a cult, but it was a healthy one, not unlike the nonsense that's around today. And it was a good one, and it was protected by all of us, wasn't it? And we were the ones that helped to bring it back, because we were always going on about this can still work in the new century. This can still work. Yeah, it did for a while. So we were right. Just unfortunately, the wrong people got their grubby little protuberances on it. But I cannot see that small minority that are always arguing about Whittaker, the Tennant 3 episodes, the Gatwa. I was so overly protective of that they just can't see it. That's not sustainable. So be very careful when it comes to what you're saying, you lot, about the conventions, because be careful what you're doing with that money as well, because it will die out. You are not in the same league, in my opinion, as the greats from the original series. Not a chance.
No way. Not a chance.
Has Peter Capaldi started doing conventions? He's not, has he? Because obviously he's been hurt by what happened. But just wondered. Yeah.
No, and I don't think he will. Quite frankly, he doesn't need to. I mean, being a fan as well of the original show, he knows what it's all about. He's done them. He set them up back in the 70s, didn't he? Yeah. Fan clubs and everything. He's done all that. I mean, why would he want to do it again? But I think, I still maintain that any convention now, because they obviously do it for the money, because they're so expensive now. And I still maintain that conventions now, when it comes to the original actors, God bless them, because we haven't got what we used to, if you know what I mean. But they are still extremely popular. Extremely popular. Robbie's saying here, Katie is great. Yes, she is. She absolutely is. And they're respectful. People like Katie and Fraser and Colin and Nicola, Peter, they are respectful, these people, because they came from that world of the older convention.
And what you're saying about you can have a drink with them in the bar in an informal manner, now you'd have to give them 50 quid to buy them a pint. You know what I mean? It's
well, didn't
really
Gatwa want for his first appearance next month here in London, didn't he want 20 quid just for standing next to him and smiling or something? We went through the prices on a previous headline.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
35 quid if you wanted him crying.
And 100 if you want him to shut up. Legion of James is saying, when you see them, you just feel that ache in the pit of your gut, as they are only associated with the death of my beloved show. That's all they represent to Doctor Who for me. I know exactly what you mean there, Legion of James. When I see them together, I get that as well here, just thinking, I don't like you people. I don't like you. I've got nothing to do with my version of Doctor Who, the superior version ever. Anybody else like that? I know exactly what Legion of James means there. Thank you for that, mate. Do you guys get that as well?
Yeah, I mean, before Tennant came back and all these kicking off about stuff, I quite liked Tennant. But now, seeing them together, I feel the exact same thing. I feel they've killed the show, and the 60th was awful, all that kind of stuff, and it's just such a shame,
Well, I've forgotten those 60th anniversary specials, because I'm loath to call them 60th anniversary specials. They were just shallow TV. Graham says to me, some wonderful names there, JT. I'm always going to say, Graham, I am so glad I was born when I was. And we've now got an ungrateful generation coming up behind us who call us all sorts of names. I think it's just out of jealousy, because some of them don't understand common sense. But you know what? I met the people that they don't even know were in Doctor Who. And I'm so proud and lucky that I was born when I was, and was able to get out in the late 80s and through the 90s and meet these people, because they were just legends to me. Like we were talking about Maggie Smith earlier, Dame Maggie Smith. We're never going to get the like of these people. They knew their craft, and they knew their audience, and they knew how to perform even when they were on a bad day. Even Pertwee on a bad day, who could be he could really go for you, but he was nice about it.
Yeah.
So I'm really and Constable Hansi is saying to us, I'm conflicted because bizarrely Jodie is my favorite modern Doctor. Well, go and stand in the corner. No, I'm kidding. No, the whole thing about this is, if that's your favorite modern Doctor, good for you. I'm glad you liked her. Personally, to me, she doesn't count, and neither does that other woman, and neither does Gatwa right now, mate. But you are still very welcome with us here, because we talk about Doctor Who, and we celebrate it. And when we do our next modern day review is going to be the Christmas thing that's coming up. So hopefully you can come
Oh,
and join.
don't say the C word unless we're talking about RTD, okay? That's not allowed.
Christmas. It's on the way. I've seen tinsel in shops, Paul. You're going to have to get used to it.
I
It's
know,
on the
but
way.
wait till Halloween's over, for goodness sake.
Lots of appreciation for Katie, and we all know she's absolutely lovely here. Thank you everybody for your chat. It's wonderful to see you all. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it, about all this? Look at this from Glenn. When I met Colin Baker and Peter Davison at a Comic-Con in Salisbury, they wanted £10 if you wanted a selfie with them. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. But quite frankly, that's a shock for them, because they came from this world that we were all in, which was they didn't charge in the old days for their autographs. They would just do it because it was like part of their job, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, when I mentioned I met McGann this year, I probably did. But it was 20 quid for a selfie with him, so it's gone up a bit with him. So it depends, I suppose, on your popularity, I suppose, or what you set your benchmark at, I suppose. But
absolutely.
But 20 quid for a selfie, that's quite a lot of money when you think of it.
Yeah.
Fraser Hines and Wendy Padbury this year were tenner each.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I mean, it's
fine.
just but you know, as Neville was saying there, they never used to charge at all. And again, I count myself so lucky, because I could show you some of the autographs in my book. You wouldn't believe the amount of scribbles I've got in there, all for free. You know, oh God. Robbie wants Gattis in charge. Okay, mate.
He's one of the Fitzroy Tavern lot, and I think they're best being banned from ever having anything to do with it ever again. Ever. Full stop. Ever.
And look at this. I like this one from Constable Hansy. Turmeric mixed with honey is a superfood by all accounts. A teaspoonful a day is good for me. Is it? Well, I'm going to look that up. Thank you very much. Thanks for that, Constable. You see, we're also giving health tips allegedly here on this show now. It's full of all sorts, isn't it? Fantastic.
Other remedies are available. Yeah.
Yeah. Glenn is also saying to us here, I was so nervous when I was having a picture with Peter Davison. Later, I had a picture with Colin Baker. It's nerve-wracking meeting your heroes. Don't get too nervous about that at all. They're just actors, and they're there to say hello to you and be part of that. And you are paying them. You are putting something towards their salary. So
get your money's worth out of them if you can.
Yeah, enjoy them. That's what I'm saying, because they're there to hopefully be there for you and have a nice time with them. So don't get too nervous, Glenn. And they're nice. They're, unless you get them on a bad day, they're both very nice gentlemen. Might just be my experience, but I like both of them. It's absolutely fantastic. What else we got here from you all as well? Bill Lowry's joining us. Hello, Bill. It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here. Simon is saying to us, JT, I've seen the Christmas floor, a whole floor in John Lewis in central London. So, Paul, book your ideas up, please.
Well, I just see a local pub near me taking Christmas bookings for Christmas Day already for eating out at Christmas kind of thing, which is really annoying. And I think it was the end of August I saw that. So there we are.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Stephen Meyer. It's good to see you. Very naughty comment there. But it's true. It's true. I mean, this is the thing. Years and years ago, these actors who were associated in the show in any sci-fi or film, they didn't see all this coming, did they? No. So the actors that have been born into it now are actually quite spoiled. And we will probably return to this subject very soon here on this edition of Headlines. But they are quite spoiled because they've been born into this. And it's part of the expectation they've got now, isn't it? Oh, we can also do this. And I reckon a lot of them, Stephen, come into Doctor Who deliberately, or other shows like that, thinking, ooh, now I'm in this, so that's going to get the career going. Ha, ha, ha. But I'll get this as well, because I'll go and milk the fans. So this is why I'm very surprised with Whittaker.
It's quite a difficult thing to do, because when I saw McGann, he had a massive queue, and there's other people around from various franchises had no one at all. So you have to be very careful, because sometimes, it depends on your popularity, your demand, etc., because it doesn't always work,
Yeah. Mike Disney is asking us, aren't they paid to be there at conventions anyway? Oh, yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are. Believe you me, and they are not necessarily cheap. So, yes, they charge for the appearance. They also will charge to get to there. So they'll charge for their train fare or their petrol fare. Then they get their hotel, and they all have riders. I mean, some of them are quite down to earth, but some of them say, no, it has to be this, or something has to be that. So they get to work at the gig, which he's been paid for, but then they charge for the photographs, the selfies, the autographs, the photo booth type things with the background behind them. That's extra. There's loads now. So it's a very profitable day for them to go to, and they know it. And that's why they go to it. So they, enjoy them while they're there because you've paid for them.
And it's interesting that some of them just want to be paid in cash to avoid the tax man, allegedly. There we go. But no, I'm saying no names. Yeah.
Lee Smith is saying to us, I saw Eccleston twice in Keswick and he looked really peed off. Well, he probably was.
Isn't that natural for somebody that comes from Lancashire, though?
Did you know he's from Salford?
Yeah.
No, I never got that. No, he's from Salford.
He doesn't mention it often, does he?
Not very much. No.
Paul Roughton is saying to us, I met Nicola Bryant about 20 years ago at the Who Shop, and I met Liz Sladen in London. Also, the wonderful Barrowman at work at QVC years ago. Oh, yes. Precious memories. Wow. The modern morons could never compare, says Paul Roughton. Yeah. Yeah. I've got wonderful memories of Nicola and especially Liz as well. And John Barrowman.
I think I recall a story of Liz saying that she had told a fan to piss off at one point, because she'd been in a hotel and there was a fire alarm, so they were all in the car park in the middle of the night, and they asked her for an autograph.
God.
In her 90, that's not 90. It's like when she's at Long Beach for a pee and try to wash her hands and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you have to be careful with all that sort of stuff, don't you? You really, really do. Thank you to Paul Thomas Ashworth for our super chat there. Hopefully, Shooty will get assimilated by the Borg, and they'll all turn into snot monsters, and they can propel the Borg cubes with giant farts.
I think that story's in the annual coming up. I think that one.
I know. I've told you all before. Stop giving the production team ideas because they watch.
They want that Star Trek crossover, don't they?
Oh, they do.
Oh, God.
This is it. That's the script.
Can you imagine that? That's just shocking, isn't it, everybody? It's absolutely ridiculous. Thank you all for your comments here. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure I had another super chat there, but for some reason it's disappeared. So if you've given us a super chat and I haven't read it out, I'm going to apologize right now because I can't find it because the chat is going so quickly, which is also thank you very much. But if you did that for us, thank you. And I can't see it. I don't know if you guys can see it and read it out on what you've got there, but I can't see it. It's gone. So sorry about that if I missed it. It's just disappeared. Gosh, they should keep it there until I click it off, really, shouldn't they, on the system that we use?
We had another one from Lex.
Okay, what's Lex saying?
We had a 199 from Lex, and he said Gatwa's first season is in CEX. It's true, I've seen it.
Okay. Thank you for that, Lex. There was another one. I think that was one there. I'm so sorry. The chat was going so quickly, and the notification's gone off. This is an interesting one. Hello to Randy Batswinger.
That's a Carry On film character, surely.
Yes, it truly is. Yes. Nurse Randy Batswinger. Really is. Thank you for that. I'd like to know what your real name is. At conventions in the 1980s, the actors were paid a flat fee and didn't charge extra for signings. Better days. Certainly healthier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really was. But thank you, Garbage. It was Lex. Thank you for that one. Garbage, can you have a look and see if there was another one for me? Because I'm sure there was a third one there. And apologies if I've missed you. I'm not doing it deliberately. It's just the chat's going so quickly. And the notification on this platform we're using disappeared. So I couldn't find it. But thank you, Randy Batswinger, as well, for joining us. Nice to see you on that one. But yeah, I mean, this is the whole thing about the convention circuit now, isn't it? I mean, I still can't believe. Digby. Oh, he did a sticker. Thank you, Digby, for your sticker. And I love the super stickers. I'm going to have to go back and watch the show and find out which one it was because I love them. For some reason, they make me chuckle. It's the small things in life, everybody, isn't it? You know.
That's okay. That pushed the views up. That's fine. Do that.
Yeah. Graham is saying for that other one you've just noticed there. Thank you for Garbage for that one as well. I bet there will be a huge rush to CEX for that. Yeah, we better explain what CEX is. It's a shop, isn't it? In some places here, is that what we were talking about? I'm out of context here. Is that right?
Is that a budget shop? Is it like Poundland?
It's second-hand CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays, isn't it? And it's in certain locations across the UK. I've actually found some really good bargains in there. As new, really. You can obviously tell they're Christmas presents or birthday presents that some kid hasn't wanted. Not that I'll have that. Thank you very much. £4, thank you. I got the whole. I got one which was a great bargain with some James Bond box set for like 10 quid.
Wow.
Absolute bargain, and it was new. It had obviously just been looked at once, and they thought, no, we don't want that. Get rid of it. So I'm sure that's it. What we got here now? Paul Roughton saying to us here as well. It's good to see you back, Paul. Nice to meet you. See you. The days are gone when conventions were more of a family and a joy, and are now just a business by people who we don't even care about. It's sad. I wish I'd been old enough to attend some of the proper ones. You would have loved them, Paul. I can guarantee you that. They were very, very happy times, and there was no bitterness back then either. There was no politics in it at all. There was no arguing. The nearest we got to arguing about was, something that had happened in the pyramids of Mars, or which one of Sarah Jane's outfits was the best, or whatever.
Who's your favorite doctor, or what's your favorite story?
Doctor?
Morphium and chronology.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Unit dating. That's another one. Don't get me started on that. Yeah.
The unit dating was a big one, wasn't it? And then the happy fan arguments over Pertwee and Baker. Which they would tie into occasionally, will they? Pertwee who? Oh, wonderful.
Didn't Tom say something? What do you mean? There are other doctors or something?
There are something like that. Yeah, I love all that one. And Catherine Reed, nice to see you. I met Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant some years ago. I caught them when no one was around and had a friendly chat. They are lovely people. Doubted I'd have an experience like that from one of the newer actors. I always get the impression as well, because I'm not interested in meeting this new lot at all. I always get the impression that they could actually just be there for the money. I don't know. Am I talking out of turn there?
Well, I think it's an easy way to make a living from it. That's the thing. And if people are prepared to pay the money towards that, then that's more fool them or not, depending on your taste. So it's easy to make money from that. You just have to turn up for a couple of hours. That's what you need to do.
I know. Let's answer this one from Constable Hansi. Has anyone met Pertwee? What was he like? Yes. I'll speak for myself. Absolutely delighted to have met him on several occasions. What was he like? Large. He was big. He was the Doctor. He was intense. He was a lovely guy, but he was powerful. And I don't mean this in any ridiculous way. He was big, he was large, he had a presence. He was the Doctor. None of these other people around him, a bit like Tom in that sense. But he was, and he believed in it, and he believed in the show, and he believed in the fans, and he was just superb. And I've told the story several times on headlines as well. He was big with the autograph, and he did it deliberately, and it always made me laugh. I'll have to show you one day, because he signed one of my books, and Constable, he would write all over the page so that Tom Baker couldn't get a look in. And it's really funny. It's really funny. But he was a star.
Yeah.
Every inch, the theatrical star. And for me,
I think he's got a bit like John Wayne. He's got massive presence as an actor. Yeah.
Well, Tom called him famously glittering.
Yeah.
He did. He absolutely did. He glittered. And I'm so disappointed I never got to see him and Tom on the same venue.
Yeah.
I would have loved that. As far as I'm aware, they did it once. And that was, of course, at the 1983 thing over in America, the Spirit of Light thing, which we were all in Britain very annoyed about at the time, because they had this big 20th anniversary convention. And what did we get? The 5 Doctors, not even on the right day. That's it. We didn't.
And they got the 5 Doctors before us as well.
Yeah, we got the Longleat gig earlier on.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not dissing that, but they weren't on the same stage at the same time, which they managed to pull off. Or Nathan Turner managed to pull off in America. There's those famous shots of the 4 of them together.
Yeah,
which are historical documents now for all of us as Doctor Who fans, because it never happened again until recent times with the 50th. But for those original, out of the original 5, those 4 together, that's iconic.
Have you seen any of the wonderful clips from the Excel 50th celebration thing when Tom comes in and he sits as far away from everyone as possible on the edge of the settee? It's fantastic, really. Hilarious.
Yes, and I like the way he does that, and I understand why he does that. I understand why he does that completely. Because he's the Doctor. Yeah. And he's trying to say, He's trying to say something there, isn't he? He's trying to be in character in a sense, to say, because that's exactly what the fourth Doctor would be like in any sort of multi-Doctor thing, which we'll never get now. But he'd be very much like, what? What? No, no. You know, he'd look at the Sylvester McCoy Doctor, for example, and go, "What is that?" Can you imagine if he'd looked at anything like Whittaker or Gatwa's Doctors? Oh no. Thank you, Lex, for your super chat. I met Paul McGann at Comic Con Liverpool 2018. He talked to me for about 15 minutes. He also did a free video message to the adult special needs I help out with. Oh, fabulous.
Oh,
Lovely.
Isn't that lovely? That's what you want, isn't it? That's what you want from you. I mean, you know, but again, I'd say McGann was more old school, you know, because he started Doctor Who in '96 when they still didn't charge for any of this stuff. So,
yeah,
wonderful. How tall was Pertwee? Says asked John. Bloody tall, as far as I'm concerned. I
he was about 6'4", wasn't he? I never met Pertwee properly. You know, he's obviously my favourite, and I wished I had. My nearest was at the Panopticon 7 in 86. Was that? No, yeah, 86. And I turned round, and he was literally stood at my shoulder. And I mean, I'm moderately over 6 foot, but I looked, and I was looking up like that. He was so tall. Yeah. And you're right, he had this presence that made him at least another 2 feet on top of that. Absolutely, you know, ginormous. But I think he was about 6'4", similar to Tom, I believe.
They were the same height. The two of them were the same height. It would have been Pertwee's Navy time as well that made him so.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Back and everything, you know, because it's hard to say now, really, because it was just like, my God, you knew he was in the room. When he entered the room, you knew he was there. It was just as simple as that. Pertwee was a lovely man, says Mark Jones. He was, wasn't he, Mark? Absolutely. And Paul is saying to Michael, Q, and others, it's a pity you never saw him in The Ultimate Adventure because he was magnificent. It was a thrill to see him in that, wasn't it? It was a thrill to see him on stage with his awareness that we were there.
And that cheer he got as soon as he walked on stage was superb.
Yeah.
I got probably that every night, I'd imagine. So,
yeah, I was going to say, he must have got that every night or twice at the weekend.
Yeah.
You know? He must have got that as soon as he came out. Oh, the appreciation, the love. I mean, that's what's missing from Doctor Who today, everybody, you know, because everybody was united. Whether it was your Doctor or not, it was still the Doctor out of those original 7. And, you know, you carry, especially the first 4, you carried that love towards them all completely. Now we're so splintered and divided. It doesn't happen. I mean, you know, certain Doctors in the modern era now can be over there in a convention, and I'll just bypass them because I can't be arsed.
I think part of the problem is, for me, is they're not in the role long enough. They don't have enough presence or enough material to engage with them, because Tom did 7 years. Pertwee did 5. They had proper stories and times, and, you know, you know, so it's like,
but that's why they
became. The new ones do 5 years, but they only do like 3 or something. It's bizarre, you know.
Yeah. I mean, between them, with the 12, 13 years they were doing, that's why they became cemented in our childhood and in the British psyche, and why they became iconic, those 2 actors, because they were there in the golden age of television. When you look at what was around them. You know, we've talked about that before, haven't we? Pertwee was like an uncle, said Robbie. He really was. And Bill Lowry is saying to us, I had a brief pen pal time with John Pertwee. How wonderful. He wanted to move into Wurzel Gummidge, which he was focused on at the time. And that's the other thing as well, didn't he? He went from that to a few other things and then to Wurzel, and cemented his popularity again and showed his versatility to a television audience.
I recommend Who Done It in between those two, between Doctor Who and Wurzel. Really good.
Yeah, I remember that as a little boy as well. And Mark McIntosh, I got John Pertwee's autographs at the Aberdeen Ultimate Adventure play. It's huge. It really is. But that was his character. That was just him he was doing it deliberately, of course. No other bugger's going to get to write on this for you, mate. I'll make sure of that. You know, Nick Courtney was also slightly not as big as Pertwee, but his was slightly big as well. It was just it just made me laugh. Although I'm sure John was doing it deliberately to make sure no other person could write on the same page. I know Marjorie. Marjorie's saying to me, you're lucky to have met the legends. The 50th anniversary was brilliant because of Tom. Yeah. And it's so wonderful that he managed to get there as well, wasn't it? You know, because, just absolutely wonderful.
Well, I'm glad when I met Paul McGann, I think I'm the same height as him, which is handy, because otherwise I'd be looking at John Pertwee's navel because I'm so little. So
I like this from Mark Jones. Tom once said of John, he had one problem: short arms and deep pockets. Getting him to buy a round of drinks was a task in itself.
yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
I remember Tom saying that, didn't he? Was it in his book or something like that? And I love that sort of rivalry the two of them had, because they were just bizarre. And there's Michael Q saying 6'1". There you are. Yeah, it's very similar to Tom, but this is great. JT, this was the era of a proper presence, says Kev. The likes of Tommy Cooper, Pertwee, Baker, John Wayne, Shaw, etc. Craftsman. Absolutely. And Randy is also saying to us, Pertwee was exactly how you hoped he would be. He was the Doctor. Tom said he was like a tall light bulb. You're right. He was a true star. Yeah. There's no other word for it. And I'll use the same word for Tom. They were stars. They were proper entertainers and actors and knew their craft. And I mean, we can still watch Pertwee today in anything he does. But of course, for us, it's going to be Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And the magic's there. There he is. It's as though he's not. It's as though he's still with us. Do you know what I mean? It's incredible. Incredible. Thank you, Mark, our resident Whose Views Poet Laureate here. Thank you for your super chat there. In the 70s and 80s, fandom wasn't about instant access. We gathered around the TV at a specific time, waiting for the next episode. It was a shared experience that united us, and it's why the legacies have endured. Well said, Mark. Totally agree with that.
It's also the well-made television as well. That's part of the thing. So
totally, absolutely, total. Ball.
And it's right what you said, JT, as well. It's what went on around it too. Especially through those core 70s years, that entire where the BBC dominated Saturday evening when ITV didn't get a look in. They might as well have just shut down on a Saturday night because
they did at one point, didn't they?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Dodgy ground.
It was just everything just neatly ran into the next thing, and Doctor Who was a core part of that, and it was through Pertwee and it was through Tom Baker, and it's like you were saying earlier about Maggie Smith. It's things like that you'll never see the like of again.
Yeah. Cute Pyro has joined us as well. You've missed our Maggie Smith tribute, if you like, at the top of the show there. You can go back after we finished and watch that, because yes, a great loss to us. And I think United Kingdom was in mourning to an extent this week as we lost one of our greats. This is Lisa Pertwee's girl saying, John Pertwee is my Doctor and always will be. He is the Doctor, the original, you might say. Yeah, okay. Lots of you will agree with that one. And Domgo is saying the first 4 Doctors are universally loved by all the fans. Why? Because they were the best. Simples.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I do have a spot for 5, 6, and 7 as well. I do have a soft spot for them. But I know what you mean. That the first 4 Doctors are the best, says Lee. It's the icon. They're the icons, aren't they, really? To this very day. The imagery surrounding them, Ian, was just incredible.
And yeah, I think one of the things that Chibnall could never cope with was that they were so loved universally, and because he could never replicate that with his fraudulent Doctor, he did the next thing possible, which was he tried to claim that they weren't the first 4 Doctors. He tried to precede them with others, naturally women and girls of color and stuff like that, and it was just a pathetic attempt to try and get anywhere near what they actually were, which was faultlessly fantastic. But he failed, like everything else in his era failed.
Stephen Braddock is telling us, I've got John's autograph at the launch of Death of the Daleks and the Time Warrior on video. I remember that tour as well. Huge tour that was, and he was just on form. I remember the time I met him. It was in Glasgow for one of the videos. Oh, I can't remember which one now. It might have been
Was it the Pertwee years, perhaps? Was it?
I can't remember. Oh, it's too long ago, but he had a bit of a cold. And he was still brilliant and still entertaining hundreds of people, not just Doctor Who fans, but it was John Pertwee. So the public came to see Pertwee. And there he was in his cloak and the velvet jacket and the ruffles because he didn't wear anything else. Oh, he was just like this outside outside the Virgin store. And people were like, and he's like, yes, I know. Yes, I know. Oh, it was just magical. He really was. Absolutely loving every minute of it. Good for him. Great programming, says John Mason, in the 70s. Absolutely. We were so lucky to grow up with it all. And Cute Pyro, remember traditional Who, each episode was like 4 hours long compared to New Who, which is 45 minutes. R.I.P. John Pertwee and R.I.P. Maggie Smith. Yeah, bless. Good grief, yeah. So we're so lucky. And Constable saying, I clearly remember episode 1 of Spearhead. It was so exciting. Yeah. We've got some plans about Spearhead and Space. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay with us. It's on the way. That's all I'm saying right now. Paul Seeley is joining us now, everybody, saying, imagine being that family watching Doctor Who when Tom Baker was at the front door. I have done many times.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I always wish, I wish he'd come here. I wish he'd come here. Yeah. and I was about 18 at the time. 17,
when I met Tom when I was 9, I'm hoping that I've seen photographs when he's doing the tour for Paint a Monster competition. You got Target badges and stuff like that, and I got my copy of the Pescaton signed by him. It was great.
Yes, you did.
But I'd love to see if there are photographs of that round about that time that people had. I've seen photographs of different events with Tom in W.H. Smith or John Menzies, places like that, with photographs of all the children around him, which is fabulous. I'd love to see if I get some of when I met him, if I may have been caught in a photograph somewhere. So anyone's went to John Menzies in 76 in Edinburgh, if you got any photographs, please send them in.
whosviews1@gmail.com.
Yeah.
It does make you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is one day a picture going to crop up where you're actually in? Because it does happen.
Yeah.
But it was a different world back then. Now, of course, everybody takes what I would call a phone. But it's everything on there, isn't it? That's a phone to me. It just happens to have a camera on, which is quite handy. But they take these around. We didn't, because we had to take these bloody great big box things around with us. Do you remember? And even at the end of the 20th century and the turn into the 20th, we had the disposable things. They were still quite big. I had to put them in the side of my combat trousers pockets to take them out on nights out. So therefore, you just didn't bother. You just didn't bother. You couldn't.
You only ever took a camera when you went on a holiday. That was the thing, you know what I mean? And even then when you got to a certain age, you didn't, did you? Because what happened in other places stayed in other places.
Well, exactly. Mark Greaves is asking us if there was a Mount Rushmore of Doctor Who, which 4 would you choose? Well, it's easy. It's the first 4. First 4, Face of Evil. No, the first. That's just popped in my head. Actually, Mark, the Face of Evil. It'd be the first 4.
Yeah.
No discussion. There you go. And Cute Pyro super chat. Thank you for that one. Fun fact: each time Wurzel Gummidge fell over in the ending of an episode was different, each and every time. And I love small details like that. It took me weeks to cop onto that one when I was watching Wurzel Gummidge on those Sunday nights. Because you're right, he would fall that way. And apparently it was John's idea. So there you go. It shows how creative it was, wasn't it? But listen, thank you, everybody. We're going to move on from that chat now because we can talk about those forever. Couldn't we, guys? We really could. We could talk about that forever. But I just thought it was interesting to go back to what we were talking about. It was those two on BBC Radio's 2's Breakfast Show, where Jodie Whittaker reunited with David Tennant. Joke's career is a Doctor Who convention. Her career is a Doctor Who convention. So what? What's wrong with that? Because you're still making the money. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't dish your audience. They've not learnt that so far, have they? But,
no, they don't care. That's why, because the audience is beneath them with this new lot. I can tell. We all know that to be true. Speaking of which, let's move on now to our next one. Actually, before we do that, can I just remind you all, actually, everybody, that it is the end of September. Yes, it is, everybody. And that means only one thing. It's that time again. Yes, October's with us, which means Halloween season here on the channel, everybody. And what better way to kickstart Halloween 2 Then we're revisiting the legend we've just been talking about, the great Mr. John Pertwee as the Third Doctor, and the Damons, or the Demons, depending which part of the country you come from. It's going to be kicking off this Wednesday, the 2nd of October, live here on the channel at 8 p.m. Don't miss it. I am absolutely thrilled and delighted to be talking about the Demons, wherever you come from.
Depends on the episode you're watching, that's the thing.
We've got an action-packed October lined up for you. So please come and join us. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you come and join us every Wednesday, where we're going to be reviewing various things. They're all up on the channel for you now. You got to see what they were now. And yes, our most requested Carry On is in the mix. Carry On Screaming is going to be next week. It certainly is. Frying tonight. Yes. I can't wait. So hopefully you're right. I want to say, I know that Martin Brown and Stephen Braddock are very excited about our lineup, guys, for Halloween too. So I think they're going to be with us on all those. But yes, come and join us, everybody, for Halloween 2, starting this Wednesday on the channel. Make sure that you've actually watched all the episodes. Good excuse to watch some good old stuff there, isn't it? But come and watch it and join us for our chats.
Yeah, if you've not seen the Damons, whether it's called, watch it now. It's superb.
It is.
No spoilers.
It really is. It's fantastic. We're going to be discussing why exactly it is a legend in Doctor Who fandom this coming Wednesday, live from 8 UK time here on the channel. Okay, right. So a legend in his own lifetime now is, of course, Mr. John Barrowman. No, I love him. Who's having a bit of a rough time this week, actually, and very mixed responses to this particular. He signed up to do one of these stupid waste of time. Sorry, one of these reality television shows, which I'm not a fan of. Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't last in it. This is from the Daily Mail, Celebrity SAS. Who'd have thought 20, 30 years ago there would be such a thing as the Celebrity SAS? I remember when the SAS wasn't mentioned in polite society. You didn't talk about them at all. And it was a big mystery as to whom they were, because it had to be, because of this little thing called security. Anyway, here it goes. Celebrity SAS. Who Dares Wins contestant John Barrowman reveals the real reason he quit after 32 minutes as he takes a swipe at show bosses. Oh, bless. Okay, bless him. 32 minutes, though. I wonder if that means he only got 32 minutes worth of wage. Who knows? Here's the story, everybody, from thedailymail.com. Celebrity SAS, Who Dares Wins, John Barrowman revealed the real reason he quit the show after 32 minutes during Sunday's opening episode. The former Doctor Who actor, who's now 57, was seen vomiting before throwing in the towel, and since claimed it was as a result of being made to eat vile tofu after being offered no other food. John, who is not a vegetarian or vegan, told The Sun, "I would never eat tofu in my life, but you're so hungry you just eat it." The motion sickness sufferer was then forced to endure a 2-hour car journey for the task, leaving him green around the gills. He said then it was projectile vomit everywhere and the tofu came up. I thought, I'm not going to make myself ill or hurt myself in order to try to prove something that I don't need to prove. And it was seriously me going, I'm completely comfortable with who I am. I'm a completely happy person. We've all got our issues and problems, but I've made a mistake. The Mail Online contacted Channel 4 for comment. John, who opened up about the flashing allegations he faced in 2021 that led to his axe from the DOI, that's Dancing on Ice judging panel from ITV, while on the show, began to vomit shortly after arriving at the base camp for the first challenge of this SAS alleged celebrity thing. After the contestants put on their army uniforms, the actor began heaving and declared, "I'm out." Asked by expert Mark Billingham if he would like to see a doctor, John said, "No, I'm done. It's just not for me. I know who I am and what I'm about. It's not for me." As the voiceover said, after only 32 minutes on base, number 13, John, is the first recruit to leave the course. Viewers had little sympathy for the actor and taking to X, branding him pathetic and a diva. Some tweets said, "Never seen anything more pathetic in my life. I bet you thought this might be a shot at redemption as well. Whoopsie. Pathetic from John Barrowman. John Barrowman, 32 minutes. FFS John Barrowman, I knew you were a diva. Didn't think you were a huge wuss as well. Certainly done yourself no favors there." Gosh, the public can be really scathing when they want to be. The story continues. During the episode, John addressed the accusations that he had repeatedly exposed himself on the set of the BBC One sci-fi series Doctor Who and its sister show, Torchwood. He said, the press made the allegation that I was going around putting my on everybody's shoulders. Having that happen to me ruined me. But this course is going to help me push through this, and I want people to see the kind of person that I really am. Peter added, on Doctor Who and Torchwood, I had to do a lot of nude scenes. If I were being stupid, I would do something stupid. Ahead of his SAS stint, John shared an awkward clip of himself preparing to start the course, telling followers that he had already thrown up due to his nerves. He said, so it is the night before we start the course. I've just barfed. That's a good Scottish word. And I'm going to try to get some sleep now. No, seriously, I threw up. I think it might have been something I ate, but I feel better. Let's see how I feel in the morning. So there you go. Wish me luck. The clip then cut to John heading into the wilderness to begin the course after handing his valuables and briefly calling his loved ones. He added, I know it's dark outside and you probably can't see, but that's me doing the walk to my valuables. I've just spoken to Scott and sent my mum and dad, everybody a message to say, send positive vibes. I'm super scared, but it's good to be scared, isn't it? Right, so there you go. Poor old John Barrowman, lasting 32 minutes on a reality television show. What do you make of that, guys? Bless him.
Well, I still think he was treated terribly with all these alleged allegations. And if they came out in 2021, where they were like, I don't know, 10 years old, I don't think he's done anything. It was all meant in jest as a joke. It wasn't any sexual abuse or anything like that. So I don't understand what the huge fuss was originally. But I can see why he tried to do this to try and get his career started again and try and get more of a higher profile, get paid more. I know he's doing the convention circuit just now. He's appearing in a TARDIS dress and cloak at the moment, I think in Chicago or something like that. So he's doing lots of different things to make money, but he's trying to start his career again, which I understand that because it's been ruined by all these allegations.
That's the problem with this. This was all coming at the height of the sort of allegations of cancel culture with lots of different people, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and it was rife, especially in 2020 when everybody was not doing anything except bitching, quite frankly. And boy, did society suffer for those decisions around the world, I can surely tell you. But yeah, I mean, as many of you are saying in the chat, we knew about this years ago. And I have to add at this point, there are several other actors I could name, but won't, who must be actually bricking it, quite frankly, another British expression, because they were doing the same things on other hit shows at the time. And there's two actors that come to mind immediately that were doing that sort of stuff. You know, I mean, what is it? Is it just lads having a laugh? I don't know, but it was a different time, and people tend to judge from where they sit right now. All these liberal ideologists, flag waving, pronoun using ones, especially.
But it was all done in jest as a joke. It was a laugh with his friends and colleagues. It wasn't done something. He's not in the same category as some other people have come out being monsters at the BBC, for instance. You know.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that yes, it happened over a decade before, and I completely agree with your point on that, Paul. Completely. But it's interesting that when the story resurfaced in 2021, he was booted from Dancing on Ice as hosted by Philip Schofield. I think that is just bizarre in itself. Really.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah,
Who is now back on television? Who is now back on television with his own Channel 5 thing on a desert island? Which
another reality thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Where's a tsunami when you want one? But he's you know. But I think Barrowman's had a bit of a hard time. I don't know what Celebrity SAS involves or does. I've never watched it. I can't think he will have done much physical exertion in 30 odd minutes.
No, he didn't. I can tell you, I researched this, Ian, because I hadn't heard of this show, so I did research it. Now, it seems to be on a parallel with that other Celebrity Jungle thing that Colin was in. You know, Colin Baker was in. What's it called? The Get Me Out of Here thing.
Yeah, I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. Yeah.
Except this time around, it's based on the SAS, so you have to go through the trials of what the soldiers would be doing in training. So you're treated as one of them. I'm sure you're not. I think for the cameras you probably are.
I don't.
But they do that for 10 minutes probably for the cameras, and that's all, you know. But,
because you just don't know what's going. It's not live or anything like that. So they do all this stuff, but they have to go through all these tasks and all this sort of stuff, and they get shouted at by whichever sergeant major's on there. And you know what these producers are like. They'll make it a drama, and they have a voiceover person to it. It's been going for a little bit of time. They call it celebrity. Ha ha ha. That's all I'd say. But you know, you're right, Paul, as well. I mean, I think he should have chosen this. If like Schofield, they're going to be looking at doing something to bring them back into the public consciousness. Like, you know, Barrowman tried to do it as well, didn't he? And that didn't work for him either. The easiest thing they can do to try and relaunch their career is go into one of these awful, god-awful shows for the reality shows. And the producers and people who put these shows together know it. So they're going to go around looking for people that are in the doldrums, as it were, and say, oh, here's a couple of million to come onto this. I think they've got to learn to be able to say no, because they're going to make a complete arse of themselves. You know, they really are, because the public are not that forgiving. If you're going to do something classy. Take something onto the Antique Roadshow or something like that, for crying out loud.
But he's doing it for the money. That's the thing. Regardless of whatever morality you have, he's doing it for the money. He's doing it for an injection of cash. I remember when Colin did I'm a Celebrity, he said he paid his mortgage off. So good for him, you know. So it's, you know what I mean?
So it's kind of about it, though.
Yeah.
You know, and he can still talk about it, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, he can still bring it up every now and then. Not the food that he was eating there, but the actual experience of being in there.
Yeah.
You know, one of the first questions I said to him were, "What are ants and deck like?"
Did you eat kangaroo anus? Did you ask him that? I don't know if you know.
Sheila B in the Devotions is with us, saying, "I love tofu." Yeah, and Robbie Bonham saying to us, Barrowman never hid who he was. No, he never has. Do you remember he was on the really early editions of Live and Kicking on BBC Saturday Morning here on the BBC? Or was it Going Live? It might have even been Going Live. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Again with you know who there as well. Constable is saying to us, I had some chili tofu made by a proper chef and it tasted incredible. I was speechless. I would be too, because it's absolutely vile. And I'm vegetarian. I can't stand tofu in my mouth. I'll go, Pfft! Yeah, it's absolutely vile. It's like, have you ever tried it, guys? It's absolutely awful.
Yeah, I don't like it either. No, I'm not vegetarian either.
It's like that, and it just won't break up at all. So you start acting like Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I have tried corn once, and it was horrible. I tried making it like a curry, and that was really horrible. It's like chewing cardboard. That was just really odd.
I don't mind corn as such, because it's improved so much. But the other thing about this is that there's all this big issue going on right now about the importance of food from plants and plant food. It's actually, a lot of it is very bad for you. Don't believe the propaganda. You know, if any other vegetarian, I would never do this, but if any vegetarian starts pressing you to go and eat plant food, tell them to bugger off. If you eat meat, eat meat. That's what I would say. But avoid tofu like the plague. Sorry, guys in the chat who are loving it. It's fire. Oh, I'm going to regenerate into Paul McGann. Anyway, I don't know what.
I had vegan cheese once and it gave me indigestion. So that's all I'm saying.
Some of that plant food. I mean, I'm going to be very graphic for you now, everybody. But I had something of plant food a few months ago and spent 24 hours on the toilet. Never again am I going near that freezer. Never again. It was awful. And I'm a vegetarian. What John did back in the day was no secret. It was talked about at conventions a lot, says John. Yes. And some of the people that talked about it are so virtue signaling righteous now, they wouldn't even admit that they were talking about it. David Tennant, Billy Piper. You know, they wouldn't even say anything about that now. There was only one man that didn't like about it, and we all know what Eccleston had to say on that matter.
Yeah.
You know?
I can hear him now.
Yeah, exactly. Dalek High is saying John Barrowman will be appearing at a theatre in New Brighton near to me this November. Is he doing Panto or is he doing one of his own shows, Dalek High? The New Brighton Theatre, by the way. Is that the Floral Pavilion? Lovely.
I think he's doing his own show. I don't think he's doing Panto yet, which is a shame because he's good at Panto.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, you know as well as I do, Paul, year after year after year in Glasgow, Barrowman would be with the Crankies. Now imagine the backstage antics there. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Well, remember, I think there's did Jeanette Cranky have a fall at one point? She fell off some kind of scaffolding thing and hurt herself really badly during one of the shows. Yeah.
But carried on because she's a pro. Yeah. They carried on. But imagine, that's all I'm telling you about that because it's all alleged. Everything's alleged. But there was things. But they packed them in Barrowman and the Crankies packed them in year after year after year.
Yeah.
Hugely successful. So if they haven't taken him on again for the Pantos, more fool them, because it's the money going down the toilet. You could have had the money because the people were going to see him.
Well, he's a sickeningly talented man. He's very, very talented. He should get more work. He should. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he was always the threat, wasn't he? He can act,
Yeah.
he can sing, he can dance, and he can write.
Yeah.
He was, and he's a comic as well.
Yeah.
As the Pantos proved, he's got comic timing. He's also a presenter. He can present these things. So if this is the way the industry works, they're assuming now that people will remember this nonsense. No, they don't. John, if you're watching this, love, nobody cares. Get a job.
Yeah.
Get a job. You are fine. And if you lot are not employing him, grow up.
Or to quote Yosser Hughes, "Gi's a job or give him a job." That's what you want to do. You know?
He's just brilliant. Give him the job and stop being so bloody pretentious. Twitter or X is the epitome of toxicity. Sometimes, says YW2324. I don't think any of us are actually going to disagree with you on that one, my friend.
It's mean and nasty as well. Yeah.
Yes, and Dimorpin is saying, I just had an entire container of tofu yesterday, and I loved every bite. Makes it even funnier, to be honest. Good for you, Dimorpin.
I think the way Barrowman was generally treated was appalling, but it was that pathetic rush to get on the bandwagon of being so virtuous, like Big Finish not releasing the remaining stories that he had and things like that. And because they've got form, haven't they? Allegedly for cancelling people. Did they do it with James Dreyfus as well?
Oh, they did it with Jimmy Dreyfus. Yeah.
And
I think eventually they released the Barrowman one. I think with Tennant. I think because they realised it was costing them money. I think.
Well, they probably did that because they knew Tennant was coming back as well, so they probably thought they could make a little bit more and try and keep the financial wolves from the door. But I mean, the way they all do it is quite. I mean, the worst one, to be quite honest, for somebody that seems completely innocent, is of course Noel Clarke. I think shocking.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a case now where you've got to be careful with all this nonsense because too many people jump on bandwagons. Today in the UK, we've just seen it again today with Rosie Duffield, a Labour MP who yesterday decided she was leaving the Labour Party to go independent because she doesn't agree with the stance the Labour Party now holds on various issues. Now, for years now, Rosie Duffield has been getting aggression from activists like J.K. Rowling has been. So, of course, today they've been enjoying every minute of this, including some of the people from her own party, which shows you why she's had to go, because she's had to live with that. Or they suddenly realize, these people that make these judgments on others, that they're the ones with the problem.
Yeah.
It's shocking, isn't it? But if Rosie comes across this, I love you. Well done, you, for standing up for your principles and what's right and telling them. Absolutely. And more of your ex-colleagues in the Labour Party should be doing that as well, because without them, it wouldn't last another 2 weeks, quite frankly.
Instead of just jumping on any old bandwagon that everyone seems to be doing.
Exactly. Let's see what the guys are saying in the chat. Michael is saying to us, John Barrowman is not pathetic, Daily Mail, you overgrown fools. He's not pathetic at all. He's been punched continually for nonsense that was dealt with all those years ago at the time, professionally, privately, and correctly. And then it was all put onto the carpet, and people move on as you do when you get disciplinaries. You have to. And then some idiot decides to dig it up over 10 years later, and he gets punished for it again when he's not even in the same job. It's absolutely it's disgraceful.
I think bizarrely, allegedly, I think it came up at a convention when other actors were talking about things at a convention, and it came out through that, just through a conversation, and someone picked up on that and decided to cancel him, which is really
and decided
sad.
to take offence over it. And so that's not done. I don't agree with that because I don't have a sense of humour from the days when humour was allowed.
Yeah,
and you weren't even there. And then that's the sort of person that would have thrown and did throw the ot and the ist and the phobe nonsense, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Look at yourself in the mirror. Pathetic. To be honest, says Dom Go, thank God he's not in Doctor Who, otherwise they would have wasted him in Rogue. Well, had he been in favour, could Rogue have been Jack?
Well, that's the thing. As Ian might remember, in Flux, I think he's about to be in Flux, and that's when it happened.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he might be in Flux.
Yeah.
Another character who turned up instead, he was like a Captain Jack substitute. You know the one I mean, Ian?
I do indeed. A very,
Yeah.
very lightweight.
So I think he was
eminently
replaced. He
flexible.
replaced Barrowman, you know, which is such a shame.
I mean, he
It
was
would
in
have
the
been Flux
Dalek
far
one.
more interesting if he was in it.
He was in the Christmas one, wasn't he, with the Daleks? And
That's right.
but
Yeah, yeah,
suspiciously, very, very quickly absent at the end.
yeah. Yeah.
Which is, I think, when it all kicked off, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was very reduced to just a voiceover bit over an intercom or something.
Really?
Yeah.
See, again, that I find that cowardice from the producers, from Chibnall and his production team. He's supposed to be a friend of yours. Support him. Never mind what some tweet idiots on the internet are saying. Get it done. Just get it in the can because you know him. This has happened an awful lot. I bet you the likes of the people that he's worked with now won't talk to him.
Yeah.
You know, we know that happens, don't we? Oh, we can't talk to you now because
you're toxic now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's happened to lots of people involved in our beloved show, including Mr. Gareth Roberts. None of them would talk to him now because they look down on him now because he won't bend the knee to their ideology and their dictates. This is the problem now. We've got a whole load of dictators telling us how we should think, what we should say, and then, you know, basically saying, well, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to cancel you. I'm going to defriend you. I'm going to block you. I'll never talk to you again. I've had this myself over the last 5-6 years where people I've known for 30-40 years will no longer talk to me because I won't bend the knee to their nonsense. It's shocking. That's not what life is about. It's ridiculous. And Neville is saying to us here, I can't help feeling John Barrowman felt he had to do it to revive his career. I would agree with you there, Neville. I just think it was probably the wrong show for him to do. You know,
sadly, he's not getting many options. I think that's the problem. You know, not many chances.
That's the thing. That's the thing. As I say, I'm convinced that if he keeps touring, people will go and see him.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just not. Maybe the venues are doing what they do in Edinburgh and other places by saying, no, you can't come here now because you're in the bad books. Or maybe the record company is saying, we will not work with you to record an album because you're in the bad books.
And if you remember, his CDs are legal tender. If you remember the 5-ish Doctors, you can use them for buying things, can't you?
It is shocking though what's happening though, isn't it? Glenn Piper saying to fair play to John. If he wasn't happy doing something, then won't do it. Sounds like he tried giving it a go but didn't like it, so he left. He is right when he says he has nothing to prove. Totally agree with you, Glenn. And also you get the vibe. There are certain productions where you are into it and you just think, hang on a second, I've made a decision here. But you have to carry on because you're contracted and stuff like that. With these things, you're not necessarily with these reality shows, especially when it's something that is very physical or any of these things. You can come out of it when you want to. And you would get the vibe as soon as you're thrown into the middle of the wilderness or wherever he was going to be, he would know. And it's best to say right at the top of the show, sorry, made a mistake here. Not for me. I'm going to go. Thank you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't put yourself through a whole week of hell, would you, necessarily?
No.
I mean, I wouldn't. Don't know about you lot, but I wouldn't.
I don't know what exactly they would have been doing. I don't know what the activities include. I mean, I know the bizarre things on Celebrity and everything, but obviously it's different from that. But I don't know what they would do. I think it's fundamentally different from what the actual soldiers do. In a much earlier life, working with the Ministry of Defence, we did send people for training there. And I would say out of every 2019 came back with a very forgiving sort of like standard letter, but also with broken bones and contusions and things like that. And it would literally be 1 out of 20 that would go on for the training and everything. So I don't think they're going to be doing anything that comes even close. But it's probably tough for a lovey, you know.
Even doing just basic army training would be hard enough, you know what I mean?
Oh, God, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Lots of people in the chat again. Thank you very much.
You remember Carry On Sergeant, remember? So that how bad that is. He's like Horace, what's his name, isn't he?
Yeah. Leo is saying to us, Leo James Ward is here, said tofu is Solent Green.
It's not made from humans, is it? That'd be awful if it is. That explains a lot, yes.
Lee Smith is saying to us, SAS have tofu in their rations? I have no idea.
I think that was before they set off, wasn't it, to go to the place? So it would probably been the TV productions catering rations, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a look what else we've got here. Thank you very much for all your chat, everybody. Amaray is with us as well. Avoid soy margarine. Yeah. And Dalek High saying, yes, it's in the Floral Pavilion doing a show called Laid Bare. I think it's about his musical career in theatre. And, Laid
As long
Bare.
as that's all it is, that's fine, because the title sounds a bit unfortunate. But
Well, no, I actually like that because it shows that to an extent he doesn't care. He's doing that tongue in cheek. That's very British, isn't it? To say, look, I don't care, and that's how you should play this more. Do you remember years ago, guys? He says, going off now, Madonna, when she was at the beginning of her career, brushed off the naked pictures, which were plastered on front pages all around the world. And she went, so what? I needed the money. So what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was forgotten within a day because she went, oh, please, as if I'm worried, please. She incorporated into a 1987 show with the newspapers flashed on the old projection walls that we used to do then. That's how you should play all this. What? So what? It's an opinion. Oh, what? Who cares? We've got these people have got to learn the art of not apologizing for nonsense. Get over it. It's not my problem. It's your problem.
Too much of a rush to apologize, isn't there? It's almost like you must apologize, and it'll change nothing. And the people that demand the apology wouldn't accept it as it was meant anyway. So there's no point.
No, exactly. But why you should want to? Why after 10 years or more is these sad idiots that go around scrolling through people's internets and Twitter from 20 years ago, just purposely to find something to put themselves in the news or cause trouble. Get a bloody job to these people.
Or give them a restraining order or something.
Yeah. It's just absolutely ridiculous, the whole thing. I can't stand any of this, especially when there's bigger things in show business that they need to be addressing. That's all I'm saying. Lots of people with us there. Hello, Daryl. Daryl Joyce is here with us as well. BBC loves to talk about risque backstage shenanigans on the Graham Norton show every week. You're still watching that, Daryl? I haven't watched that for years. I think last time I watched it was on Channel 4. Huge congratulations to Daryl, by the way, whose calendar we've been helping to promote here on Who's Views, and which did extremely well. We've got a review show of that coming up because apparently it's gone to the printers, or it's going to the printers this week. So as soon as we've all got it, join us as we geek out over Daryl's fantastic artwork. Good to see you, Daryl. Thank you so much for joining us, and well done. Congratulations on a hit. I can't wait to get it over there on the wall. Spending the year with Daryl's art. Can't wait it. Mark is saying
did Bedwin get 3? Do we know?
I don't know. Very probably. People in glass TARDISes shouldn't throw stones, says Mark Milford. They're very good at that, though, don't they? And maybe a lot of the alleged Doctor Who fans who do all this nonsense should actually learn that saying. What else we got here from you all? I don't understand what timescales are saying to us here. Cancel culture has been part of Doctor Who for decades, and it comes from the top.
I don't think JNT ever tried to cancel anybody. I think it's definitely a 21st century thing.
It's definitely cancel culture is definitely, at least in the last, since 2020, definitely. I don't remember anybody having careers ruined and losing houses and jobs and families. Look at Graham Linehan. His wife divorced him because of the harassment and the death threats. Look at J.K. Rowling, what's going on there? Although no one can touch her because she's on track to be the first billionaire author in history, not just female, but in history. Wow, good for her. So I don't know timescales what you mean there. I would say cancel culture hasn't been part of Doctor Who for decades. I think it's new.
I mean, it certainly comes from the likes of Russell T Davies, doesn't it? I mean, he orchestrates a lot of the blocking of people and things like that. I mean, he does it himself, doesn't he? We were talking about it earlier, blocking people on Instagram and stuff.
Yes,
so I think
then other people follow it. Yeah,
that mindset and everything. He's definitely one of the cheerleaders of it. You don't toe the line, then you're out.
There's Dougie saying to us, Barrowman was great and I'm a celebrity. Okay, I don't know what that one was either. But yeah, I mean, you're right there with what you're saying there, Ian. But there's loads of them all involved around that, isn't it? I mean, we've had casting directors, we've had directors, we've had alleged actors, we've had writers, all blocking people. Look at the big one that we had in 2020, which stopped the watch-alongs that were hugely successful for Doctor Who fans. And then a particular writer, whose name I won't mention, can't be asked, says something, blocks thousands, if not millions, of Doctor Who fans, and then the watch-alongs have failed because they can't tune in or take part. Yeah. And he was responsible for that because of his bloody arrogance and his one-upmanship and being right up his own arse, quite frankly. I'm sure a lot of you will know who I'm talking about. Cannot be bothered with him. What an arse.
I was one of the great blocked. He was an idiot.
They all are, because they are judgmental. You know, I've been blocked by most of them now. As if I care. Big deal. I can still see you, you bloody idiots. As this show is proving. Lots of everybody here. Yeah, thank you very much. And Timkins. The last thing I remember No Cart for was when he did a topless photo shoot in Doctor Who magazine. Still weird. Did he? Did he? I don't remember that. Was that the cover? I don't remember that one at all, mate.
Katie Manning's the only topless shots I remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
And she had her arms folded as well. So.
and with hiding behind a garlic.
And a plunger as well, yeah. So.
Now this is different. Kev has actually said, well, Colin Baker was cancelled and the treatment he was given. That's he wasn't cancelled, he was sacked. And it didn't affect his career or his livelihood. It did for a little while, but he was soon back in the theatre because he was a good actor. And he was a popular actor and people didn't care. And at that point as well, I think the industry
was different.
Yeah, it was totally different. Yeah. I think people could see through it. And so they went, oh, Colin's free, book him. So it wasn't
Eccleston's more of a recent one, isn't he? With that kind of him leaving and then being blacklisted allegedly, etc., etc. So there's similar with Eccleston a little bit, I suppose.
I think so, yeah, because he definitely was cancelled. That was and we all know where that one came from, Ian. But that was just that was the starting of all this, wasn't it? And these people being empowered enough to say, I'm going to do this. Yeah. Bully culture says timescales more so than cancel culture. And yes, RTD is of that mindset. That's why I say it comes from the top. RTD have been there for decades in the boys' club of 3. I know what you mean about that one. Thank you for that one. Listen, we're going to move on, everybody, because we're going well over time again. I've just realised the time. So I hope you can stay with us as we go that, because we've got one more story and I'm really, really keen to make sure that we're getting your opinions on the next one. Hugh Janus is saying to us, thank you for your super chat, mate. They can't cancel you if you tell them to F off. Never apologise. That's the rule. Do not apologise to these people. Just shrug it off and say, you're the ones with the problem. You're absolutely right. You've got to play them at their own game. We're going to go on to this story now, talking of whom. This one's about our leading man, our current leading man. Or is he? That's a rumour out there at the moment, though, isn't he? But this is, of course, Ncuti Gatwa. This is the latest picture from his own Instagram, where he's in Los Angeles in California, allegedly, when this was taken. And he's Instagramming this. And he's thanking people for having him around for tea, for some cocktails, and big love to Tiffany and Co. Yes, I give them big love as well for providing such stunning pieces and all your support. I mean, if Tiffany was giving me stuff, I would be giving them big love as well. Anyway, we've got all that. And as you can see there, he's also thanking his genius of a style at Felicity K, who designed this beautiful shirt with whoever that is there. They all use these at things now, isn't it? So cream suit, blue suit, shirt by, jewelry, grooming, styled by. This is how these people live now. It's not the way I live. It's not the way I've been brought up. But these alleged celebrities, again, going back to Dame Maggie Smith at the top of the show, this is where we are now with these people. This is it. I don't call this acting at all. Now, allegedly, Mr. Gatwa gets...
He should be in the Labour government, allegedly, shouldn't he, to be honest?
Well, yeah. Well, he is, in a sense, because he's on board with all the crap, isn't he? But allegedly, I'm hearing that Mr. Gatwa doesn't like when the press call him a model. You are, mate. You're more of a model.
He's a very, very tiny man, isn't he?
He's perfect. Yeah. Model.
Yeah. So anyway, he's been in the press this week. He's made the headlines this week for this story coming from Radio Times. Jade Thirlwell unveils new song Midnight Cowboy with Doctor Who's Ncuti Gatwa. Fans of Jade, I would imagine, were quick to recognise another familiar voice. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jade Thirlwell, who apparently is now also going by the name Jade, who do these people think they are? I mean, even Barbara Streisand still has her surname. You know, Madonna doesn't have the surname really. She never did. You know, Prince. You know, oh, anyway, it's a trend, isn't it, to have one name now? Even Kylie's dropped the Minogu. You know, but anyway, this is Jade Thirlwall, ex of the British pop group Little Mix. If any of you remember them, they split up. Was it last year? The year before? Fairly recently, anyway. But she's part of that. So yes, Shooty Gatwa is on her new single. Have you heard it? It's not my sort of thing, and
don't give up your day job. In fact, give up your day job. Yeah, sorry.
I'm a huge fan of pop. Except it's not really my thing, this thing. But here
he sounds like he's or his voice sounds like he's got his head down a lavatory pan.
It's not done very well. Is it?
Let's not try.
Yeah.
Well, he might do because he's been drinking a lot recently, allegedly, as we might see in a second. But here we go. Jade has released her second solo track, Midnight Cowboy, and it features a guest appearance from Doctor Who star Shooty Gatwa. The Little Mix star unveiled the song on Wednesday morning, the 25th of September, which she previously described as a gift from me to you until my next single drops. The track, which was co-written by chart topper Ray, opens with a spoken word intro by the Doctor Who star, which says, "Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems." Of course it does, because it has to. Really, in a pop song, they can't help themselves, can they? They have to push it into absolutely everything they can. It makes me sick. And it was that, seconds literally in, that I thought this is, and I judged it. There you go, but that's just me. Ha! So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, hold on tight. The performance is about to begin. Flash photography and video is encouraged. Enjoy the show. Later in the song, the actor says they call her Miss Calamity Jade. Before he adds, "You better put your hands together, make it clap for Miss Jade's heart. That is a performance." Yawn. Upon the release of Midnight Cowboy, Jade said, "I promised the fans wouldn't have to wait too long for more music, so I think it's about time for the Midnight Cowboy." She continued, written in 2022 by Ray and I, produced by Jonah Christian, and featuring a guest monument from the one and only Shooty Gatwa. Midnight Cowboy is a sultry, understated bass-heavy pop about owning your sexuality and your talents that come with it. They have no idea, have they? This has all been done before. You lot, in my opinion, should be reaping the rewards of everybody that came before you decades ago. From the 60s revolution with the Beatles and the Mersey sound upwards through the 80s, 70s, the 80s especially, with all the huge stalwarts that you lot are never going to get near. 90s and even the dance music of the early zeros, and they just think it's all about them again. They think that they're the ones with all their they them nonsense. I mean, it makes me sick. It really does. Anyone?
It's a bit pathetic, isn't it?
It's fairly pathetic. Yeah.
And this is what
you almost feel sorry for them, thinking that the little things that they do are big or mega scale, or like. You'd think, oh, he's spoken on this record, so it's as big as Live Aid and Freddie Mercury. It's not, but in their little heads, they think it is. Bless them.
Do you know what though, Ian? They probably don't even know who Freddie Mercury is.
No, that's a sad thing, really.
Yeah, I'm sure not many people know who Shooty Gatwa is. So why is he on the bloody album in the first place, or the song in the first place? It seems.
This was one of the questions I was going to ask. Why is he there?
Yeah.
And it's just.
If they're all of the same mindset in this silly little group, then they're probably going to think that he is big. Because in their circle, they're saying he's big, so they'll believe it because they believe what each other says, don't they? Just in the same way that for every fan that leaves, another 5 are going to join. Well, it's like that's not happened, has it? But in their head, it has.
They're waiting for season 2, Ian.
I'm sure they are. Yeah, that difficult second album. I'm sure that'll be much improved.
Yeah. I love this from Pete Harrington, who said, "Oh, give me strength." That's an old saying from the old days. All my family used to say that. Oh, I love that. So thank you for that piece as well. And Paul Routen is saying, "Don't knock it. It'll make the top 50 possibly." Please. But I mean, the charts aren't even what they were. I mean, that's why they got rid of Top of the Pops. I always bemoaned the fact that the BBC axed Top of the Pops. Now I know why, because they actually saw this coming, all this nonsense coming, and they thought, "We're not."
Well, I think we know why we got rid of Top of the Pops, but we won't dwell on that.
All they do now is twerk. which allegedly Mr. Gatwa has also been seen doing this week on his on some sort of social media or in the video or something. He's been twerking this week and making an absolute idiot of himself. Yes, honestly,
That's all he's
Gatwa,
fit for. Yeah.
Gatwa, don't do it. Why is he? This is supposed to be. Now, bearing in mind that Shooty Gatwa is currently allegedly out of contract with Bad Wolf. He is currently not the Doctor because the show is at the moment not in production. A third series has currently not yet been announced as being greenlit. So therefore, because he's got season 2 in the can, he's not the Doctor right now. He is to them because we've still got a second season coming on. But he's out of contract. He's done his contract. He's done the episodes. If they want him back, they have to negotiate a new contract for him, right? So he's actually there at the moment. And again, it goes back to my theory that, these people here are not being responsible because he's obviously living his best life the way he wants to, but he's not showing any responsibility to this show called Doctor Who at all, because he's supposed to be, in my eyes, representative of what the Doctor is. And here he is talking about nonsense and pronouns and all this stuff and twerking. Grow up, kid. How old is he now? He's 30-something, isn't he? Grow up, for heaven's sake. So he's not the role model I would expect an actor to be when they're playing the Doctor. He's not keeping his private life very private, is he?
Absolutely.
What do you guys think?
He's just an attention junkie. That's all he wants. He wants attention.
As most of them do with that age group.
He's incredibly vain. That's part of the problem. Yeah.
We've got Problem Beings with us as well. Nice to see you, Problem Being. Isn't that the music video of the song In the Rain? Yes, that's all I'm saying on that particular one as well. What else we got there? Thank you very much for joining us here. Demorpin is saying, yes, that line, ladies and gentlemen, days and dems, it's so cringe. It really is cringe and it's embarrassing. But these idiots believe all this nonsense they've got here. They really, really do. They believe all this. Oh, hang on. What's happened there? There we go. There's it. Hi. Hello to High Desert 004. I've never heard of it. It's not worth you even looking up, I'm afraid. Really, really isn't. And Mike Disney quite rightly saying music used to be revolutionary. The problem is, Mike, I reckon that these idiots think they are. I think they're shaking the world because they believe in all this stuff. They believe in the fact that we should be using people's pronouns and should be, if they tell us they're a squirrel, endorsing that fact. Do you know what I mean? Rather than saying, get a bloody grip. They show, oh, yes, you're a squirrel. Here's some nuts. Oh, get away.
Well, I saw something recently in the local press that one child's been allowed to identify as a wolf. So
yes,
good luck with
in
that.
A school.
Yes.
In a school, everybody outside the UK. This has happened in one of our schools in the United Kingdom. The teachers are endorsing this kid who's saying they're a wolf. To those teachers, you should be fired.
I mean, what happens when you try and communicate? You're doing maths or arithmetic with this wolf. How does a wolf learn and respond to
what I do with any kid that tried to pull that with me? I'd drive them out into bloody nowhere and leave them. Yeah. Let's see how long they survive as a wolf then, with the real things around.
With real wolves, and let them be brought up by wolves. That'd be quite good. Yeah, we'll do that.
And it all starts at home as well. If you are parents and you're endorsing this crap with your children, then take a good look at yourselves, quite frankly. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's borderline abuse, really, isn't it? Because you're encouraging what is ultimately a mental illness. And if you did proper parenting, you would be able to help them out of this mental illness. It's not something that's a permanent state most of the time, but they're not. By embracing it, they're encouraging it and giving it credence, which is a very dangerous and stupid thing to do. I mean, kids are notorious for trying anything, and right the way through into the teens, they'll pull stunts like this. And if you encourage it and pander to it, then all you're going to do is get more of it, and it's ridiculous. What if you're agreeing that this child is a wolf? God forbid, but they have, and you're right, Paul. I saw the article as well. If they're doing that and they're in the middle of a lesson and this child starts howling, then can they stop the child howling? Because that's what a wolf does. So you're
off the furniture, get down off the furniture, things like that. You do with dogs, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah.
The other concerning thing about this is that there's some children in there who will be wanting there to learn and not suffering any sort of mental illness. And we'll look at these kids, and I've seen it just this week as well, where a couple of children were put on suspension for not endorsing the pronouns of one particular attention seeker in their class, and they have to suffer. These teachers have been gripped by all this ideological nonsense. And where's the education authorities coming through? Where's their equivalent of Ofcom in the education? I know there is one. Why aren't they going in saying, would you grow up? Would you stop this? Just no, this is not fantasy they're living in. This is reality. Get them ready for the real world and working life, and teach them the 3 R's and get on with this. But
to follow the story with the wolf, is the kid sitting there in a full wolf costume with a head on and stuff like that, and just sitting there scratching themselves. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And what if they get distempered? You just put them down then.
Maybe you have to get their injections. Yeah.
Have them shot. Maybe.
Yeah. If it's got worms and it spends its entire time going along the floor or something, I don't know. Dogs do.
YW2324 is saying to us, I'm 24, and even I know who Freddie Mercury is. Well, that's probably because you've got some sense of common sense in you and been brought up properly. But I can guarantee you, some of these pronoun users won't, because all they live for is it's like in Doctor Who fandom, YW. They don't know who Baker or Pertwee or Troughton or Hartnell is. I mean, look at the fuss we talked about last week about them. Some of them think David Bradley's the first Doctor Who. Give over. He's nowhere near the first Doctor Who. He was a stand-in. William Hartnell is the first Doctor Who. It's exactly the same thing. Sometimes this modern world drives me insane because it's full of.
The thing is, as well, though, JT, you're absolutely right. Some do think Bradley is, but if you go back to 83, when it was the 20th anniversary and everything, absolutely none of us thought that Richard Hurndall was the first Doctor.
No, correct. No. It was a tribute.
None of us. So what's the problem? Where has it all gone wrong up here that they think that?
Because I think what happens is health now.
I think what happens is sometimes they put pictures up of Bradley or Hurndall, who researchers or whoever thinking that is Hartnell, which is really stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's simply because we now celebrate mental health. When you look at idiots like that Sam Thingy, the alleged pop star who's going around, oh, I'm a they, them, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, get a bloody grip. You're not. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you've got a penis, you're a male. If you've got a vagina, you're a female. There is no other human aspect of this. It's in your head. And instead of pandering to these idiots and trying to enforce it on society, like show business and entertainment industry is very good at doing, spend the money on getting them help. Can you imagine 20 years ago, whenever it was, when the record company was doing its very best to support Amy Winehouse? And I know that from a fact, because I know somebody that worked there at the time with that particular company. They were doing what they could to support her through very difficult times for this woman. She obviously had mental well-being issues, as we know now. But can you imagine if that was around today? They'd be throwing the drink and the drugs at her.
Yeah.
And pandering to her. That's what they'd be doing. That's where we've gone wrong. Instead of questioning people, they now think they're being inclusive and tolerant and making themselves look good by pandering to it, saying, oh, aren't you strong and stunning and brave? No, you're not. You're a bloody loon. Get some help. Get professional help. That's where we're at. And show business and entertainment, in my perception, has led this ridiculous charge. And everybody's climbed on the bandwagon like sheep. The
70s, 80s and 90s would laugh at us, wouldn't they?
Well, we do. I'm representing them. We do. I look at these.
We all are, really, aren't we? But if that
if
those decades could see these decades, they would just take something merciless.
Well, if you look back, when you move into the future, 10 years from now, you look back at now, people are going to think we've gone off our heads.
I hope so. I hope so. I do hope so. But the problem is that the 40-year-olds and the 50-year-olds now were the 80s.
Yeah.
Were the 90s. They should know better. And I think part of the hangover of this, and problem being with us saying Bowie already did this in the 70s, anything else is just a poser. Totally agree. But I don't know if you agree with what I'm going to say now, PB. But basically, I think this is a hangover from those people old enough to know what it was like at the time for same-sex attracted people who were victimized on a daily basis, and they don't want to see it again. So what they've done is they've jumped on this thing to say, oh, we've got to be inclusive, we've got to be tolerant. Oh, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And they've forgotten the common sense attitude of being able to say, no, hang on a minute. You have to have intelligence here because that's not reality. And you're endorsing fantasy. that's where show business, of course, will always be in the gutter because they can't tell reality. I've always said that the majority of people working in show business couldn't make it in the real world. They couldn't even stack shelves in Tesco. Other supermarkets are available because it's too much like reality.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of them today don't have talent as well. Anyway, that's my that's my take on it all.
Sadly, I think in the profession and show business, I think a lot of the time talent means nothing at all. You can get on with being talentless. That's as some of this we discussed already has shown. You know,
look at Gatwa. He's got one of the leading roles in British television, and he has not one shred of talent to allow him to actually do it competently. But he's got the job anyway.
But he's having a great time. He really is, because recently he's been seen at the Mighty Hoopla Festival with Jade Thirlwall and others, as you can see here from splashnews.com. Now, I had to look this up because this is way after my time, the Mighty Hoopla. I don't know if you guys have heard of this particular festival.
You are joking, aren't you?
No. Yeah. Now listen, I thought I was on board with the majority of festivals. There are so many festivals in the summers now here, isn't there? But this one's passed me by completely, and I'm absolutely delighted that it is. The Mighty Hoopla Festival happens yearly around about this time of year in September in London. So that's probably why I don't know about it. But the other reason about this is, now bear in mind, this is Shooty with some of his pals here, snapped pack shade. He's actually wearing a shirt, sort of, you know, because we all know he doesn't like wearing shirts. So this is them here. Look at them all. These are all a certain elite. This is a certain type, isn't it? This is the new elite that thinks they can look down at us and have just voted the Labour Party in. He says getting political, but that's what Headlines on a Sunday night's all about. It's going to be political, but they are, aren't we? This is the new elite. They think they're better than the rest of us. They all work in the BBC. So you've got all this going on as well. But the other reason that this has passed me by is look at who goes to this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's the TQ cult and their nonsense.
Look at these. Twerk for trans rights.
And look at that one. There's no I in Pride.
There is literally an I in Pride.
I mean, these are the people I wouldn't get on with, quite frankly, because they do not represent the LGBT community. Obviously, they are all the TQ cult, but they love this thing. They love the Mighty Hoopla Festival, and they're there every year. And it's based around this whole thing about being representative of you and pushing the representation. So it's no wonder that people like Gatwa are going to be there, because it's very much his thing, isn't it? That cult is what they do, and all they do there is address each other by pronouns. From what I can do, see from if you look at the website, I
see he's dyed his hair again.
He's blonde,
and he's taken the moustache off as well, isn't it? No, he's still
the moustache is there. Moustache is there.
Why doesn't the collar match the cuffs with the moustache and the hair? I mean,
I really don't want to know.
Let's not go there yet.
I really don't want to know. He is actually getting ready now. He's just done the photographs for his new play, which starts in the new year, which is a version of The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde, which is a classic. He's in it with Sharon, somebody else who apparently was in Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who.
Yeah, she was Bradley Walsh's wife in it.
Thank you. Well, she's in it as well.
Yeah. Is she playing Lady Bracknell by any chance?
I believe she is.
Right.
And also, I can tell you that I've learnt over the weekend that if you are interested in seeing that and won't want to pay the extortionate prices of the London West End, it's being shown in selected cinemas one Saturday night in the new year, in February.
Yeah, I'll be missing that. Yeah, I'll be washing my hair that night, I'm telling you. Yeah.
I'm so excited about seeing. But yeah, you can go see that. So that's there for you. But I'm not going to talk about that again because I'm not in the mood to push it work. But if you look at this Mighty Hoopla, the Mighty and Hoopla is spelled Hoopla Festival. If you look at their website, make sure you take a sick bucket, because I had to grab for one actually, because I looked at it and just thought, no wonder I've never heard of this particular festival, because it's full of pronoun users and flag waving fools. And I just thought, oh yeah. And then I looked for particular other people from Doctor Who, but none of them seem to be there. Missing the boat on that one then, aren't you? Because you love to climb on bandwagons. But there you have it. So that's that. I mean, he is out of contract. I'm going to say that
something, certainly, yeah.
But for me, he's not. This is the problem with this today. Now, you know, in the old days, the actors could go to their pubs and stuff, and there wouldn't be fans with the blooming things taking pictures every minute and putting them out there. Do you know what I mean? Now you've got to be careful. If you are in a role like the Doctor, for example, I still think you should have a certain awareness of that, because you are still a role model, or should be. And I think that whole responsibility is now gone. I am going to refer back to the story we talked about months ago, where RTD allegedly did call Gatwa in and said, "Do what you want out of time, if you like. You know, in your own personal life, do what you like. But when you're wearing that costume, I'm not sure which particular one he was talking about. You are the Doctor, and you have a responsibility." Do we really think Ncuti Gatwa is listening to the advice?
No, I don't think he is. But the trouble is, I mean, that's the thing about the costume. He's not identified, apart from that leather outfit that I quite liked. He doesn't have an identifying image of the Doctor, unlike Tom did. Tom would stop, not be smoking in the street if he was dressed in the costume. But that was an iconic costume. He doesn't have an identity of the Doctor at all, does he?
Well, Tom was very conscious of that, like you say, Paul, wasn't he? I mean, I remember reading in that Doctor's Effect book by Steve Camden that he got some photos, I think it was Sharda, and Tom called him over and he was bricking it because he thought he was going to get a bollocking, and he was just more concerned that he'd caught a shot of him with a fag in his hand during a break.
Yeah.
And
have you seen the footage? There's a little bit of a clip of that. I've seen this really fast.
And also the photograph was actually
to the photographer. Yeah.
The photograph has actually re-emerged this week.
Right.
Oh, is it?
Actually, so Tom would be horrified. Actually, he probably wouldn't care now because he's a certain age.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah, you're right, Ian. He was always so careful. They all were. It's
just they respected the role and they respected the program. There's no respect for the role or the program by the numpties that are involved in it nowadays. There's just none at all. It's just used for self-serving virtue signaling and message delivering, which is why it's so crap. There, I said it.
Yeah.
Yes, you can take the lad out of Yorkshire, but you can't take Yorkshire out of the lad. I mean, yeah. I mean, I just don't think for me. I mean, Peter Harrington is saying it for me.
Yeah,
Peter
the whole thing, not just the character.
Yeah, if you're listening to us, Peter Harrington is saying to us here, a regeneration is needed now, and it's interesting, isn't it? I've said on this show before many times, I think it will only go the second season, which is in the can, and then a third version of a season, whether it be 3 or something like that. I'm not even convinced it might get that far now. And I don't know, because I've always said that, you know, this is me speculating, everybody. I've always said there's going to be a third year of some sort.
Yeah.
I look at what's going on now. I look at the fact that it's not doing very well. The press isn't there for them. When they do get press, it's not very bad. They've got a leading man that's living his best life. I'm assumed he would be saying, him and his little chums. Am I reading too much into this, or you know, or am I onto something? What do you think, everybody?
Well, I think in terms of the way it's been received by a general audience, it's not doing well at all, regardless of the propaganda about ratings. But if it does regenerate after Series 3 or the specials or whatever, if Russell's still in charge, we'll get more of the same again with a different actor. So where we're going to be, you know?
It needs. I don't think it needs regeneration. I think it needs reboot, but it needs reboot with quite a few years gap, and absolutely nobody involved in it now ever touching it again. They're toxic, absolutely toxic. I think. But I think you said before, haven't you, JT, that with the from the river to the sea, or oops, that's just what they're trying to infer, isn't it? From the land to the sea thing. With those episodes, they've fulfilled their quota to Disney, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me, and it would relieve me, to be quite honest, if that was it.
A lot of you have said in the chat tonight, or a few have said in the chat tonight, you know, none of us would ever dream that we'd want to see Doctor Who come off the air. I'm actually one of these people now that does want it off the air, because I just find it incredibly embarrassing.
Well, it's not. A friend of mine said to me, it's not just bad Doctor Who, it's bad television. And I agree
totally.
with Yeah.
And we said that in our review. I remember I said that on several of those reviews with that nonsense that we've just looked at earlier this year. It was very bad television. It was awful. It was just lazy, agenda-driven, no story. Oh, I've got a message. How do I write something around it? It was awful. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I think that's where Doctor Who is now.
It's that terminally ill, much-loved relative who's just hanging on and becoming a shadow of what they were. That you just want them, for their sake and everybody else's, you just want them to pass on, and die.
Well, it's true. I mean, somebody pull the plug on Doctor Who. Just pull.
If this was an ailing dog, it'd be put to sleep, honestly. And I'm a dog lover. I don't want to see that happen to any of my dogs, you know. But
no, agreed.
No. But it's where it is. I mean, the show should have finished with Whittaker as it was intended to do, but no, they thought with RTD they've got a lifeline. They ordered all these episodes. It was all done and dusted. And by God, what a slap in the face it is to them. Really, really is, isn't it? It's just they weren't expecting the backlash that they've had. Cancel it, says Marjorie. Marjorie saying to us, bring it back in 5 years with a new Doctor and showrunner. To be honest, Marjorie, as I've said before, I'm going to say it again. I don't want it back ever. I think that's it done. I think this is it now. That's the end. It has to have a good long rest, whether it be 15, 20, 25 years. But I personally don't want to see it back in my lifetime because I cannot forgive it for where it's gone. And I will never forgive the people that have allowed it to go there. And we've had 2 spectacular miscasts, one after the other now. And they won't dare get a proper actor in because it might not fit with the quota, if you know what I mean, or the DEI of the day. And if they go for somebody like one of Maggie Smith's wonderful sons, for example, he's white. Ooh, that's a bad thing to do, isn't it? I mean, goodness me. Lex is saying here, RTD, pack your bags. We don't want you in Doctor Who anymore. I'd also say at this point now as well, Bad Wolf, get out. You have failed. Disney is done. They will not pay more money for this show. No one is watching. And Steve Braddock saying to us, the rumor is season 2 ends with a regeneration cliffhanger, so it's open-ended. So I don't think there will be a series 3 now.
Well, that's what they're going to do with Whittaker, wasn't it? So it sounds very similar, which might happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is just a rumor, that particular one. I've heard that before. I don't think they will try and do that again because it was done last time. I think if they're going to end it, they'll end it with him sailing off into the sunset or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
You know, so they've got the option. And
then we hear him being exterminated by a Dalek, and that's it, finished. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. Paul Rose is saying to us here, the problem is to be a fan of something, you've actually got to like the character and the show. Absolutely. And but it's got its own little cliche and cliquey fan base now, hasn't it, Doctor Who? You know, the ones that will defend it to the earth because it fits their lifestyle of what they think is tolerance and acceptance and inclusion, when actually it's everything against that. It's exclusion. It's intolerant behavior. It's segregation. You know, that's
original Doctor Who was tolerant of pretty much everybody and included everybody.
Yeah.
And wasn't as divisive as it really is now. Their interpretation of inclusion is as much divisive and exclusion as it could possibly be. I think.
Boomer Doug, maybe it's dementia setting in, but I hold out hope that Doctor Who will come good again. Don't listen to me though, because I'm currently wearing my underpants as a hat. As long as
I do that sometimes, so I wouldn't worry about that. It's fine.
Yes.
He's got 2 pencils up his nose as well.
I've got like Tom Baker underpants over my head sometimes.
Paul Rose saying cancel
that's all in effect.
Cancel it until RTD is long gone, along with the woke narrative, says Paul Rose. And Kev is saying to us, it's bad BBC TV with their quotas, message agenda, and poor scripts and storylines. I think the BBC is just, as you'll know, I think it's long gone down the toilet.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. I don't think anything is entertaining on the BBC at all. I love this from John, though, who's saying that Whose Views is now my go-to program. Keep it up. Thank you very much. We will do our best. So that's very nice of you to say that. And Komodo quite rightly says decent actors may not touch Doctor Who now.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting, actually, Komodo, because a friend of mine just this very week, we were talking about various things, and I said she's an actor, by the way. She's not a very famous one, bless her. She won't be watching this, so I can say that. But she works hard and she tries. But her roles as she gets older, of course, are diminishing. So she's now in her late 40s.
That's ancient.
Yes, exactly. And she, so the roles, I mean, the roles were never there really anyway, because she was competing with lots of others. but now it's even more difficult. And she's white, so that's even more difficult. She's done some adverts and stuff like that, so whatever. But she's always working hard. And we were talking about Doctor Who and this channel and stuff like that. And she actually sort of implied she wouldn't touch Doctor Who now because it was the sort of kiss of death. And it's looked on by some of them as 50-50. Oh, it's going to make me. Or, oh, no, don't do that now because it's not quite there anymore. It's in its last days.
Yeah.
Cancel it. Cancel
it's
it.
just really sad it's come to this now. It really is.
Yeah. Maybe 5-10 years time, a feature film with a completely blank slate, no reference to any history or anything like that. Just like in the same vein as the Cushings, you know. Maybe. But not a series again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think a film would work in any time because I just don't think the audience is there now. I think this version of Doctor Who, along with the Whittaker version of Doctor Who, has helped to shed the audience. We see that, don't we, when we're doing the ratings? They've gone.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think you still have to have that British audience, no matter how hard the BBC or any of its production partners try to make it big in America. You've got to have your British audience. If that's not there, you've got no show. Doctor
Who's a crazy show anyway, but I think casting a female Doctor was, I think, can be described as jumping the shark, and then bringing Tennant back as well. That was like a step too far, probably. You know,
I think even with the public, I think they saw through it. I really do. Paul Rose is saying, I did try with Shooty's first special and I hated it. I can't imagine watching the rest. I honestly would much rather watch Who's Views than the actual show now. Well, there you go. Thank you very much. You can do that. We're going to be here for you. And we are going to be looking at Joy to the World over Christmas, and we'll be back with the review on that one. We're also
that's
going to be
that C word again, you know.
I know, yeah. I'm so excited. And Dalek Eye is saying, I just want it to end, but the downside would be the lack of review content from the wonderful Who's Views. Well, as we've just proven our annual ball, mate, there is lots to talk about through 26 years of superior time travel. We're going to be coming back to more of that in November. That's all I'm saying at this particular point.
He's not told us anything else either, to be fair.
No, we're going to be looking at lots and lots and lots of things to do with that. So the review content is always fun, isn't it, when it comes to the new stuff?
Yeah.
Even though I can't.
But the Demons is going to be superb. Looking forward to that.
Oh my God.
Demons is coming on. Rather,
the Demons
this week. Nibbles is saying that as well. I'm looking forward to the classic reviews on Who's Views. Absolutely, lots more coming up. And we're starting again this week with the Mighty Pertwee, as we said before. The Demons, this Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Paul Roughton. I know it's been said before, God, those wilderness years, Doctor Who magazine, fanzines, spin-offs, video releases, monthly comics. We didn't know how good we had it. We didn't at all, Paul, did we?
Exactly, yeah.
We didn't. It was a special time, and it's only now those of us that were there who know about these things can say that.
And I don't think another wilderness years will be anything like that at all, which is really
sad.
You know?
No, of course it won't, because we're not one anymore. We're too divided. We're coming to the Whittaker and the Gatwa and the Tennant ones over there. And also, they drift away. Whereas we went through 15 years with hope and decent merchandise and quality, and then suddenly it was back. Anyway. John Mason, Whose Views feels like family, even if they don't like tofu. It does. I think we've built up a really lovely community here, everybody.
Takes all sorts, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does, to make a universe.
Yeah. But I'm really glad you're saying that, John, because I think it does as well. And it's great putting the shows together, knowing that you guys are all going to be there and you're going to watch us and be with us, which is brilliant. And Mrs. Lisa Pertwee's girl says, I just met a casino worker, a female that likes the 60th anniversary and the Disney Who. I told her I hated it, but at least we were both nice to each other, though she was working in a casino. Okay. Well, I mean, if they liked it and they enjoyed it, fine.
Yeah.
But
it's allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was allowed to disagree with customers. Everybody's allowed to disagree with each other. It's what we call democracy. It's the fabric of Western society. And these idiots are destroying it on a daily basis, aren't they? With you can't say that, or you need to be cancelled. They drive me insane. De Morpin is saying, without the love of the British public, Doctor Who has lost its soul. Yeah. And Pete's making a joke to us here. I'll be back. I can't wait till June. I can't wait till Wednesday. Richard Brooks, the great British public walked away from Doctor Who many years ago now. The feeble retreads of past stories with as snivelling ninny as the Doctors have not brought them back. Exactly. These the female Doctor will bring them back in their millions. Didn't work. Oh, this one's going to bring them back in the millions. It didn't work. God knows what they were trying to think with that one. I don't know, but you are right. And Stephen Braddock saying, thank you. Yes, Whose Views is the future of Doctor Who now, looking at its wonderful past glories. And there are many of them as well, as we all know. Problem being saying to us, I don't recognize New Who as Doctor Who anymore. I don't. And Paul Roughton saying to us, JT and Co, will you be reviewing the new sonic screwdriver on a merchandise show? Well, I'm glad you've mentioned that, everybody, because have you seen this? And this is our "and finally" story this week as well, because it's arrived. If you are that desperate, if you are interested, this has hit the toy shelves. Well, I say toy shelves. It's available in at least 2 shops. And from Character Online itself, this, of course, is the new Russell T Davies version. Why they call it a screwdriver when it looks absolutely nothing like a screwdriver?
It looks like a training shoe, I'm telling you, it really does.
It looks more like the thing you can open bottles with, or a TV remote control, but it is definitely not a screwdriver. But this is the Character Options brand new 15th Doctor's sonic screwdriver, electronic light and sound effects. This was the deluxe edition, which was available from the Character Options, actually is still available from the Character Options website. It was released a few days ago. There it is. There is also a non-deluxe edition, which doesn't have all the particular features and stuff like that. So there are 2 versions you can get if you were desperate enough. There it is there. It's
how much is it? How much is it of interest?
Oh, I didn't look at that. It was something like £30.
£30 for that? You'd be cheaper buying a pair of training shoes, to be honest.
I don't know. I have to say, I don't know. I didn't look into it that much because it just doesn't interest me. I have to tell you that this thing is not going on my shelves in my collection at all. Not interested in it. And I just don't believe that's the sonic screwdriver. It looks nothing like it. The one he had previously for Tennant, what happened to that one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What happened to that particular one? I don't understand. Where did that go? It wasn't explained, was it? It's
no,
just that
wasn't.
Judy's Doctor had everything new. So I don't get it at all. But that was a better one. And again, it goes down to my my particular theory. Thank you, Steve. Steve was saying $39.99, I think. It goes down to my particular theory that they couldn't, or Russell didn't want Shooty holding anything pointy for reasons.
It couldn't look like one of those things. Yeah.
It's a bit stupid, though, isn't it? I mean, I think if I'm honest, I think it looks like a butt plug that I've seen advertised elsewhere. I'll just clarify. But
that's too much information, Ian. There,
it's a ridiculous amount of money, though, isn't it? It's. But I mean, I think it went wrong with sonic screwdrivers with Matt Smith. To be honest, I think his was too overly weird and ornate and everything. It just seemed to be that thing with the light on the end just seemed to be enough, but it's I think somebody's just said on the comments, over-engineered, overly complicated, completely unnecessary.
Yeah. Neville is saying if you didn't know, you just wonder what the heck it was. Again, it's just, it doesn't look like a screwdriver, and it's not iconic in any way, but they have gone mad. And the only reason he went and did version after version after version was money. It was nothing to do with design. It was nothing to do with integrity. It was nothing to do with story. It was to do with money. Oh, the idiots will go and buy a new version of this. Let's bring out 65 million of them, just like the amount of incarnations the Doctor now has. It's absolutely nonsense. Julianne is pointing out that there have been, and we've seen this, haven't we, Julianne? I've seen this too on social media over the weekend. Lots of complaints of poor quality control on the Character Option Collectors Facebook pages. I mean, they've had plenty of time to get this ready. So why people are complaining, oh, this is loose, oh, that's come apart, after spending all that money on these things? Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, as Richard said, 2 versions that would not sell. They've sold, I think, their initial amount to those that want it. I don't think it's going to continue now. I think they've had their day with that particular one. And I'm just going to ask a question out there. Still no Shooty Gatwa action figures, everybody?
Yeah.
Now, they were leaked at the Toy Fair. We've seen pictures. of both the 15th incarnation, allegedly, of the Doctor and his companion, which was Ruby Sunday. Can't remember. Ruby Sunday. Where are they? What's going on?
I think character would probably appreciate it if they could just focus on the classic series.
I do too.
That's the stuff that sells. I think they've got an arm behind the back. You've got to do current stuff if you want to do old stuff, and that. But
allegedly,
they're over a barrel. Allegedly.
I bet the Rude sold better than sold better than Shooty's figures. I bet they would have done.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if there's something in there about that saying, hang on a minute. If you want to do the old stuff, you have to do the new stuff. And I think it's sold what it's going to sell now. I don't think it's going to sell millions, because we're not all rushing out to buy it. No. From what I can see, I just don't see that at all. But anyway, there you go. It's available for you now. There it is again. The character options, new versions of the alleged sonic screwdriver, available for you right now. Ooh, isn't that exciting, everybody? I know you're thrilled by this. Listen, we've gone way over time. Thank you so much to everybody that's been with us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the show. To Paul and to Dr. Ian, have you enjoyed the chat tonight?
Very much. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it very much. Yeah.
Good, too. So in answer to that question there, are we going to be doing a show about that? No, because none of us on this show are going to be buying it, and we're not excited about it at all. So, like Dalek Eye, we're giving that particular one a miss as well. We're not going to be. That's it. We've just looked at it there on headlines for you, but no way is it getting a whole show on Who's Views. Not a chance. If they do, however, eventually announce the Shooty Gatwa action figures, make sure you come and join us, because we'll be having a laugh. We'll be having a very serious conversation about all of those, because I'm sure there's going to be about 55 different versions of Shooty Gatwa action figures, all in different action figure clothes.
With various wigs as well, probably,
and shoes. Lee Patton is saying to us the best Sonic was the one that lasted from Frontier in Space until the Visitation. And that's where it should have bloody well stayed, on the floor, dead, because it's just ridiculous now, the sonic screwdriver, isn't it? It absolutely is nonsense. They actually went down the road that JNT didn't want to go down as a solution to everything. As probably being said in the chat, it did force fields in the Star Beast. It's a plot device now, isn't it? It just really is ridiculous.
God, yeah.
It's a Harry Potter wand, basically. And
exactly.
it's but then they are going down the magic and mysticism route, aren't they? So I suppose it fits
allegedly. Well, listen, that is us for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here on Headlines on Who's Views. Please make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel if you have subscribed to us. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Give us a like as well, and do all the stuff that you have to do with YouTube. We love it. We will be back on Wednesday, the 2nd of October, as we start our October Halloween season. All the shows are up for you right now here on the channel show page. Go and have a look. It's got all the dates for you there and the times we're going to be doing everything. We're going to be doing Doctor Who, Carry On Screaming, and we're also going to be celebrating the legend that is, of course, Peter Cushing, with another Hammer horror. Lots coming up for you throughout October as part of Halloween. Come and join us. We'd love to see you. We'll be back on Wednesday. So until then, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you then. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Paul. Thanks to Dr. Ian. And we'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone.
Well, good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.